The King, Eternal Monarch is a romantic fantasy supernatural drama featuring the concepts of time travel, parallel worlds, and multiple timelines. The story is set in Korea but spans two different worlds. Simply put, our hero belongs to the Kingdom of Korea, while the heroine belongs to the Republic of Korea, a parallel world. At the beginning of the story, we are introduced to a magical flute with immense powers. Whoever possesses this flute can rule the world, travel through time, visit parallel worlds, cure epidemics, and bring rain, among other extraordinary abilities. This flute is currently in the possession of the King of the Kingdom of Korea. The year is 1994 when Lee Rim, the king's half-brother, decides to stage a coup. Along with some of his soldiers, he infiltrates the king's private palace, kills him, and attempts to escape with the flute. However, the king's 8-year-old son, Lee Gon, arrives at the scene, drawn by the sound of the flute. Seeing his father dead, Lee Gon runs toward him. Lee Rim, noticing him, coldly remarks, "Now you are an orphan." Hearing this, Lee Gon picks up a sword with great effort and attacks Lee Rim, cutting the flute in Lee Rim's hand into two pieces. Lee Gon orders the royal guards to capture the traitor, but he is unaware that they are all conspiring with Lee Rim. The guards point their guns at Lee Gon, and Lee Rim angrily slashes at Lee Gon's neck with a piece of the flute. He is about to kill Lee Gon when a masked man wearing a cap suddenly appears and starts shooting at Lee Rim's soldiers, confronting them alone. Hearing the gunfire, the king's royal guards begin heading toward the scene, prompting Lee Rim to flee with one part of the flute. Meanwhile, the other part of the flute remains with the injured Lee Gon. The masked man approaches Lee Gon to check on him. Although Lee Gon cannot see the man's face, he finds an ID card left in his hand before the masked man disappears. Meanwhile, Lee Rim runs into a bamboo forest, where a portal opens before him because of the flute fragment he holds. Crossing through it, he enters the Republic of Korea. After reading newspapers and banners, Lee Rim realizes he is in a different world, where the country is divided into North and South Korea. While exploring, he encounters the doppelganger of his stepbrother, Prince Byong. Lee Rim notices that even in this world, his stepbrother exists, but the doppelganger here is disabled. Realizing he is in a parallel world he had read about in ancient texts concerning the magical flute, Lee Rim asks Prince Byong's doppelganger to take him home. Once there, Lee Rim kills him and also his own disabled counterpart in this world. Then, he encounters this world's version of Lee Gon and kills him as well. Lee Rim soon understands that in this parallel world, everyone from the Kingdom of Korea has a counterpart, but their lives are different. Meanwhile, in the Kingdom of Korea, the king's death ceremony takes place. The 8-year-old Lee Gon performs his first royal duties by leading the rituals for his father's death. Since the king was assassinated by his stepbrother, the royal court exiles all of the king's relatives and cousins. Back in the Republic of Korea, Lee Rim comprehends the powers of the flute and the existence of the parallel world. To cover his tracks, he returns to the Kingdom of Korea and leaves the corpse of his doppelganger on the seashore. This makes the people of the Kingdom of Korea believe that the traitor Lee Rim is dead. The 8-year-old Lee Gon is left grieving his father's death. During this time, he meets young Jo Young, who begins following him everywhere. Lee Gon, frustrated, asks, "How do you keep getting in here? Who are you, and who is your father?" Jo Young replies, "My father was your father's friend." Despite his initial annoyance, Lee Gon completes the royal rituals. Later, he breaks down in tears, feeling utterly alone. The head court lady consoles Lee Gon. Jo Young also follows him as usual, and seeing Lee Gon crying, he sits down and starts crying too. Seeing this, Lee Gon gets up, brings a sword, and tells Jo Young to stop crying. He declares, "From today onwards, you are my unbreakable sword. So stop crying." Jo Young quiets down, and from this moment, they become close friends. Meanwhile, on the seashore, Prince Byong, who is Lee Gon's uncle, performs a ceremonial washing of Lee Rim's supposed dead body, which was found. Prince Byong is a doctor and the only member of the royal family allowed to stay in the Kingdom of Korea. After conducting an autopsy, he realizes the body is not Lee Rim's. However, to maintain stability, He lies and declares that the body is indeed the traitor Lee Rim's and that he died from the royal guard's bullets. He relays this information to the head court lady. Meanwhile, Lee Rim roams freely between the two worlds, sending his followers from the Kingdom of Korea to the Republic of Korea. The story then jumps 25 years forward to 2019 in the Kingdom of Korea. King Lee Gon is preparing for horse riding, while Jo Young has risen to the position of captain of the King's Royal Guard. Before heading out, Lee Gon visits his room, where the head court lady, whom Lee Gon affectionately calls Dima, is secretly placing talismans to bless him with a good life partner. Lee Gon catches her in the act, takes the talismans, throws them in the trash, and says, "Dima, I've told you before, I'm not interested in marriage right now. Stop putting these talismans in my room." Saying this, he heads out for horse riding. Undeterred, Dima places the talismans back in his room after he leaves. Later, after horse riding, Lee Gon meets with Prime Minister Koo Seo-ryang, who visits weekly to give her reports. However, she maintains a slightly flirtatious demeanor around him, leading the press to snap photos of them together, fueling public gossip about their relationship. Despite her persistent pressure and Dima's pestering, Lee Gon firmly repeats his stance that he has no intention of getting married anytime soon. Later, Lee Gon participates in a rowing competition attended by a large crowd. Among them, a girl in a rabbit costume is running, chased by some goons. After winning the competition, Lee Gon celebrates with his team, but one of the goons fires a gun into the air, causing panic among the spectators. The goon demands the girl come out of hiding. Lee Gon's guards quickly surround the area and arrest the goons. Jo Young protects Lee Gon, but Lee Gon's attention is caught by the girl in the rabbit costume. Taking advantage of the commotion, the girl runs away. Intrigued, Lee Gon chases after her, but loses her after a while. Jo Young eventually catches up and asks about the sudden chase. Lee Gon explains, "I saw the person wearing the rabbit costume, and it felt like they were the same person who saved me 25 years ago." Back at the palace, Lee Gon pulls out a book containing the ID card he received from the mysterious masked man who saved him as a child. The card belongs to Lieutenant Jong Tae-eul of the Seoul Police Station, who is the female lead of the story. Lee Gon notices the ID card was issued on November 11th, 2019. However, when he checks the current date, it is September 10th, 2019. Perplexed, Lee Gon wonders how an ID card could be issued on a date that hasn't yet arrived. In the Republic of Korea, we are introduced to Jong Tae-eul, who, along with her team, arrests a group of goons and begins investigating a murder case with her detective friend, Kang Shin-jae. Here, Lee Gon sees the person in the rabbit hoodie again. He gets on his horse and starts following them. While chasing, he reaches the bamboo forest, where the portal to the parallel world opens, as Lee Gon possesses a piece of the magical flute. As soon as he enters, Lee Gon crosses into the Republic of Korea. The opening of the portal causes time to stop momentarily in this world, which is sensed by Lee Rim, who is currently in the Republic of Korea. Meanwhile, Jong Tae-eul is stuck in traffic when she notices Lee Gon riding past her car on a horse. Everyone is shocked to see someone on horseback in the middle of modern traffic. Tae-eul calls out, asking him to move aside, but Lee Gon doesn't respond. She activates her police siren, drives ahead, and blocks his path, demanding he move his horse out of the way. Lee Gon dismounts his horse, surprised to see Tae-eul. Spotting the ID card around her neck, he exclaims, "Finally, I've found you, Lieutenant Jong Tae-eul." Before Tae-eul can react, Lee Gon hugs her, leaving her completely stunned. She pushes him away, asking, "What are you doing?" "Who are you?" Lee Gon replies, "You don't recognize me? I've been looking for you all this time." Tae-eul, annoyed, asks, "Who are you, and what's your name? Show me your ID." Lee Gon replies, "I don't have an ID card," and introduces himself as the King of the Kingdom of Korea. He explains that he traveled through a portal connecting the two worlds. Tae-eul finds his story ridiculous and arrests him for violating traffic laws and for inappropriate contact with an on-duty police officer. At the police station, Tae-eul asks for his name to record it, but Lee Gon cryptically replies, "I can tell you my name, but I cannot tell you my name." Exasperated, Tae-eul writes down "Gadang," nonsense, as his name and confiscates his belongings. Among them, She finds cards and currency from the Kingdom of Korea, which she assumes are fake, and sends them for examination. She also takes Lee Gon's fingerprints for identification. Back in the Kingdom of Korea, Dima grows worried about Lee Gon's disappearance. Jo Young, along with the royal guard, searches for him and finds horse tracks in the bamboo forest. Before leaving on his chase, Lee Gon had instructed his guard to tell Jo Young he was pursuing the rabbit-hooded person. Jo Young interrogates the arrested goons, who reveal that the person they were chasing is a girl named Luna. Jo Young contacts the police, asking them to locate the girl who escaped with their money. Meanwhile, Tae-eul puts Lee Gon in a holding cell. Lee Gon, refusing to sit on the ground, demands a chair, stating that a king never sits on the floor. Tae-eul ignores him. Then, a man named Kong Hyunmin, who is Jo Young's lookalike in this world, enters. Lee Gon, startled, calls out, "Jo Young, I'm here." Hyunmin is confused and asks Tae-eul, "Who is this guy, and why is he calling me Jo Young?" Tae-eul replies, "He's a lunatic claiming to be a king." Hyunmin, a police trainee, hands Tae-eul some documents and leaves, jokingly dancing on his way out. Lee Gon, observing this, says, "This cannot be Jo Young." Later, Tae-eul receives a call from the forensic department. She learns that Lee Gon's fingerprints don't match anyone in their records. Surprised, the forensic officer suggests he might be a missing person and asks for a DNA sample. Tae-eul returns to Lee Gon and instructs him to open his mouth to collect a saliva sample. Lee Gon remarks, "You couldn't find any information about me from my fingerprints, could you? I told you, I'm not from your world. You won't find anything about me here, just as I wouldn't find anything about you in my world. The only connection I have is this ID card I found 25 years ago with your picture on it." Tae-eul, skeptical, asks, "Since when have you been talking this nonsense? Who are you, and how could you have my ID card from 25 years ago? Are you some kind of spy here on a secret mission? How do you know about me?" Lee Gon responds calmly, "Because I've been searching for you for many years." Tae-eul looks visibly surprised, prompting Lee Gon to continue. "The boy you saw earlier, the one you call Nari Suk in this world, is my royal guard captain, Jo Young, in my world." Tae-eul is taken aback. "So, you're really claiming to be from a parallel world?" "Yes," Lee Gon confirms. "In my world, I am the king of the Kingdom of Korea. Unlike here, where North and South Korea are separate, in my world, Korea is one united kingdom." Maybe you still don't understand what a parallel world is, so let me explain. As Lee Gon delves into the concept of parallel worlds, Tae-eul uses the opportunity to take a saliva sample for DNA testing. She then leaves him and prepares to head to the lab. Before she goes, Lee Gon gives her the address of a 5-star hotel, adding, "If you want to talk, I'll be staying there. You can find me anytime." Tae-eul retorts, "Do you even have money to stay in a 5-star hotel?" "I don't have money right now," Lee Gon admits, "but I will." He recalls something and adds, "Your friend Nari Suk told me your house is near that hotel, and that you two have known each other since childhood." Tae-eul rolls her eyes. "You wander around with fake currency and think you can afford luxury? This just gets better." In response, Lee Gon detaches a button from his coat and says, "Do you know of any jewelry shops nearby? This button has a diamond in it. I can sell it for money." Tae-eul bursts out laughing. "A diamond? Sure. If that's a diamond, then I'm Princess Diana." However, once they reach the jewelry shop, Tae-eul is stunned to learn the button is indeed a rare and valuable diamond. Embarrassed, she falls silent. Lee Gon smirks. "What now, Princess Diana? Do you believe me?" After they leave the shop, Tae-eul can't help but eye the other buttons on his coat. Sensing her curiosity, Lee Gon teases, "Still don't believe me?" Tae-eul asks suspiciously, "Where did you get these diamonds? Did you steal them? Have you ever seen a thief go with a cop to sell diamonds?" Lee Gon replies, amused. Still unconvinced, Tae-eul mutters, "Maybe you stole them from somewhere." Lee Gon shrugs. "These diamonds are special. They're royal court property." As they walk, Lee Gon notices a 63-story building and points at it. "What's that building?" Tae-eul replies, "Why? Don't you have tall buildings in your world?" "Of course we do," Lee Gon says. "Every city in my world has at least 60-story buildings. But do you only have one in this city? Yes, it's the tallest here, Tae-eul says. Anyway, there's a taxi stand nearby. You can go to your hotel from there. As she starts to leave, Lee Gon steps in front of her. Please don't go. It took me 25 years to find you. I wish this day could last a little longer so we could spend more time together. Tae-eul gives him a sharp look. Move, or I'll take action. Before Lee Gon can respond, Tae-eul receives a call from Shin-jae, who asks for her help with an investigation. She leaves, but Lee Gon watches her go with a wistful expression. Later that evening, Nari-suk, also known as Eun-seob in the Republic of Korea, is watching TV at home when Lee Gon calls him, asking to meet. Using the phone number he took from the police station, Lee Gon contacts Eun-seob, who earlier mentioned the hotel to him. Eun-seob meets Lee Gon and is roped into a shopping spree. Lee Gon buys expensive branded items and hands them to Eun-seob. They return to Lee Gon's hotel room with bags full of goods. Eun-seob, puzzled, asks, "Why did you call me here?" Lee Gon replies, "I want to talk to you about something." Eun-seob frowns. "I don't talk to strangers." Lee Gon smiles and gestures to the shopping bags. "Well, all of these are for you." Eun-seob's face lights up. "Oh, in that case, what do you want to know?" Lee Gon asks if Eun-seob has any childhood photos. Curious but compliant, Eun-seob retrieves a photo from his wallet. Lee Gon looks at it and notices that even as a child, Eun-seob bore a striking resemblance to Jo Young, his royal guard captain from the Kingdom of Korea. Lee Gon, after examining Eun-seob's childhood photo, is certain that this world mirrors his own and is filled with lookalikes of people from the Kingdom of Korea. While he reflects on this, Tae-eul begins sending intimidating messages to Eun-seob, who is startled and confused. Eun-seob's panic escalates when he realizes that Lee Gon, without asking, has left Maximus, his horse, in Tae-eul's yard. A note pinned to the gate reads, "Eun-seob told me about your large yard. Please take care of Maximus for a few days." When Tae-eul arrives home and sees Maximus grazing in her yard, she is infuriated. Her friend Nari observes the horse and comments, "This horse doesn't look ordinary. Its owner must be someone incredibly wealthy." Fuming, Tae-eul storms off to the hotel, where Lee Gon is staying. Since she doesn't know his name, she describes his appearance to the hotel staff, but they refuse to give her his room number. Undeterred, she writes a note. "Meet me in 10 minutes, or I'll sell your horse." The message is delivered to Lee Gon, who immediately comes downstairs. Tae-eul, her anger evident, demands, "Why did you leave that horse in my yard?" Lee Gon replies smoothly, "I thought it wouldn't bother you. Could you please let Maximus stay there for a while? I promise to handle everything, feeding, grooming, and cleaning up after him." "I do have a problem with it," she snaps. "Please," he says sincerely. "It's only for a short time. I'll be leaving for my world soon." Tae-eul crosses her arms. "When are you leaving?" "I haven't decided yet," Lee Gon admits. "But I want to stay for a few more days. I feel comfortable here, especially around you." Rolling her eyes, Tae-eul ties her hair back. "Fine. The horse can stay until your DNA results come back. After that, you're on your own." Lee Gon smiles and says, "Don't tie your hair. You look better with it down." "Don't get any ideas," she retorts. "Maximus stays for another 40 hours, no more. Once your results are in, take him and leave." She turns and walks away. The next day, Tae-eul is busy with an investigation, but her phone keeps buzzing with calls from Lee Gon. He asks her to meet him repeatedly, once for food, another time for questions about her world. His constant interruptions begin to wear on her. Meanwhile, Lee Rim, Lee Gon's uncle, is seen in the Republic of Korea. He has taken refuge on a hill far from the city, where he has gathered followers and disciples. Among his schemes, he has kept the mother of Lee Gon's lookalike alive, intending to use her as leverage when the time is right. At the end of her shift, Tae-eul comes home with carrots for Maximus. However, the horse refuses to eat from her hand, making her uneasy. Startled, she calls Lee Gon, who is at a library engrossed in books about Korean history in this world. Eun-seob, standing nearby, remarks, "He's been reading since yesterday. I don't know what's gotten into him." When Tae-eul arrives at the library, she sees a small crowd of women gawking at Lee Gon. As she approaches, whispers erupt. Is she his girlfriend? Displeased with the attention, Tae-eul quickly leads Lee Gon to a nearby restaurant. Tae-eul starts eating chicken comfortably, but Lee Gon doesn't touch his food. She asks, "Why aren't you eating?" He hesitates. "I only eat after someone else tastes the food first. If there's poison in it, I could die here, and these might be my last words." Tae-eul raises an eyebrow. "All right, Drama King, what are your last words?" Lee Gon looks at her earnestly. "Thank you for everything, but especially for existing in this world." Caught off guard, Tae-eul doesn't respond immediately. Lee Gon finally starts eating, savoring the taste of the chicken. "This is delicious," he exclaims. Tae-eul watches him for a moment before asking, "Why do you spend so much time in the library?" "I've been studying the history of Korea in your world," he explains. "It's so different from the Kingdom of Korea." He begins sharing the story of his Korean empire, but Tae-eul cuts him off. "You sound like a novelist. Your story is entertaining, but it's hard to take seriously." Lee Gon looks at her with frustration. "Why don't you believe me, even for a second?"
Tae-eul France.
"Because nothing you say makes sense. All this nonsense that you talk about parallel worlds looks good only in stories, so don't talk too much. Eat quietly and wait for your DNA result to come." Lee Gon says that if you don't believe my words, then why are you helping me? Tae-eul says, "Because I am a good police officer and my job is to help the citizens." Lee Gon asks, "Is there any other reason why I should stay in your world?" Tae-eul says nothing on this. The scene cuts. Here in the Kingdom of Korea, Jong is trying every possible way to find Lee Gon. After this, we see a reporter, Sunny, who is the lookalike of Tae-eul's friend Nari in the parallel world, where she used to work in a press. She then gets a call from the Royal Public Affairs Office, asking her for an interview. Jeong reaches there and asks her to show her camera because she was taking photos and videos during the rowing competition that day. Something can be found out about that rabbit girl Luna from her camera. He gives his email address and asks her to send all the photos and videos of the rowing competition via email. Sunny becomes very happy after meeting Jeong because she is a big fan of him. Meanwhile, Lee Gon comes to his room and sees that all the diamonds in his coat have been stolen. He goes to Tae-eul's house, where, after feeding Maximus, he realizes that he has only a little money left. With it, he goes to Nari's coffee shop, drinks coffee, and waits for Tae-eul to come out. He is waiting for Tae-eul, but then Shinj comes to call Tae-eul for dinner. He recognizes Lee Gon. Tae-eul had arrested him a few days back, so he asks him what he is doing here. But Lee Gon talks to him with a kingly attitude and keeps telling him that if he were in his world, his head would have been chopped off for talking to him like this. Shinj also takes his photo and warns him that if he is seen around again, he will put him in jail. Saying this, he calls Tae-eul and asks her to come to a nearby restaurant. Tae-eul comes down after finishing some work and asks him what he is doing here. Lee Gon says that he was waiting for her. "Come, I will also come with you." But Lee Gon leaves, saying that there is no need. On the way, she is thinking only of Lee Gon, which is why she goes to Shinj. She messages him that you and everyone start eating. I will have dinner at home. Saying this, she goes back to Lee Gon and asks him, "Why are you still standing here?" Lee Gon tells her that she should not treat him like this. "I feel very bad." Tae-eul asks, "Why? What happened?" Lee Gon says that he knows only her in this world, and that's why she should not leave him like this. Tae-eul says, "Oh, hello, mister. I do not know you. Now you have had enough. Tell me the truth quietly. Who are you, and how do you know me?" Lee Gon says, "I had told you, 25 years ago, I found your ID card. I found it from a man. Since then, I have been searching for that man and you." Tae-eul asks, "So, who is that man?" Lee Gon says, "I did not see his face. In that ID card, your date of birth and ID card issuance date were also written." Tae-eul says, "I have my ID card from November 11th, 2019. November 11th, 2019 has not come yet, so stop your nonsense and go home. Don't you have any family? They must not be worried about you." Lee Gon says, "I don't have any family in this world, and I am still single." Tae-eul says, "What should I do knowing that you are single?" Lee Gon says, "I have just taken a very important decision. I want to give you a position through which you can know everything about me. Tae-eul says, okay, then tell me which position. He says, Lieutenant Young Tae-eul, I accept you as my wife, i.e., the Queen of the Korean Empire. Hearing this, Tae-eul is shocked. Lee Gon says, you have become the reason for me to stay here from now on. Hearing this, Tae-eul starts looking at him in shock and says, now you have made me the queen. Why did you like me so much in these 2 days? Or are you still talking nonsense? Lee Gon says, I am serious. I told my heart with full sincerity. I told you. But Tae-eul gets irritated by listening to his words, so she says to him, okay, then come on. Show me which country's queen I am. Let me see where your other world is today. Then both of them go to the bamboo forest of this world, but due to Lee Gon not having the piece of the magical flute in his hand, the door to go to the other world does not open. That is why Tae-eul tells him a lot of things. Lee Gon understands that due to not bringing the piece of the flute, the portal to go to his world did not open. Lee Gon tries to explain the whole matter to her, but Tae-eul did not want to listen to any more of his nonsense, so she starts leaving because it was very cold. Lee Gon makes her wear his coat and asks, what is the name of your detective friend? Tae-eul says, when you do not know your own name, then what will you do by knowing the names of others? Lee Gon says, when did I say that I do not know my name? No one else can call me by my name. After listening to her nonsense, Tae-eul goes ahead. Here we see Shinj, who is waiting for her outside Tae-eul's house. We come to know that Shinj has liked Tae-eul since his high school days, but he also falls under the category of those boys who become emotionless at the right time to maintain friendship. This is also called friend killing. In the Kingdom of Korea, Sunny gets a job in the royal palace as a reporter, where her job is to find out all the news written about Lee Gon. She checks articles and handles all situations if something negative is published. There has been no news of the king for a long time, so some gossip started that King Lee Gon is not in his palace. To cover up this matter, Sunny comes up with a very good idea. She asks Jaeyoung for his mobile. There is a photo of Joy with Lee Gon on his phone, in which both are in Navy uniforms. She publishes that photo from Joy's account, which calms down the gossip, and the public believes that their King Lee Gon is with the Navy officers. Daima calls Jaeyoung and gives him Tae-eul's ID card, asking him to find out everything about this girl. Joy tells them that the king had told him about this girl earlier, but he didn't get any information about her. Yama tells him that Lee Gon has been searching for his savior since that incident 25 years ago. He found the ID card of this girl with him. I don't know where he would have gone to find her. In the Republic of Korea, Tae-eul finds out that Lee Gon's DNA does not match with the DNA of any missing child, which means that nothing can be found out about Lee Gon now. Tae-eul is surprised at how Lee Gon is living in South Korea without any identity card. So, she goes to meet Lee Gon, where, after drinking a little, she asks him to tell the truth. Who are you, and have you really come from another world? Lee Gon says, I have told you so many times that I have come from the Kingdom of Korea, but you did not believe me. Tae-eul says, how can a normal person believe that you have come from another world, that you are the king of that country, and you have come to this world through some magical door in that bamboo forest? But there was no door there, so who can open the door to go to another world? Lee Gon says, I don't know, but no one except me. I think there is someone else who can use that magical door. Then she starts asking Tae-eul about other things related to his world. Lee Gon starts telling her the history of the Korean Empire of his world. Tae-eul then realizes that this is the story of some nobleman and says, you make good stories. Lee Gon says, even after all this, did you not believe that you don't have any information about me in this world, neither from fingerprints nor from DNA? You don't believe even this? But Tae-eul still did not believe him, so both of them leave. Lee Gon goes to Tae-eul's house to see his horse. Here in the Kingdom of Korea, Jo-young starts remembering Lee Gon's words before Lee Gon's disappearance, where once Lee Gon told him that he doubted the autopsy report of Rim's death 25 years ago because there was something wrong in the details written in it. Lee Gon had suspected for a long time that the dead body of Rim, which was found 25 years ago, was a fake. Remembering all this, Jaeyoung tries to understand where Lee Gon can go. Meanwhile, in the Republic of Korea, it starts raining and lightning at night, and then Lee Gon starts having a lot of pain in his back. Now, why this happens, we will know later in the story. The next day, Tae-eul's car breaks down on the way, so she calls her father at home, but Lee Gon picks up the call because he had gone there to see his horse. Tae-eul tells him about her car breaking down. Lee Gon asks her to wait for a while and tells her that he is coming there right now. After a while, Lee Gon reaches there, but while going toward the oil, everything suddenly stops. Lee Gon looks around and finds that everything has become still. Only he can move now. That's why he goes close to the oil and starts looking at it, but after a while, everything becomes normal. The oil suddenly gets scared after getting so close to her. Lee Gon asks, "What? You felt that everything had stopped here? Even time had stopped." Tae-eul thinks that these words of his are just more nonsense, so she tells him to wait here for a while. "I have called a mechanic, he will fix the car. Take care of my car, I have to go for an emergency investigation." Saying this, she leaves. Time had stopped some time ago because Lee Gon had opened the door to another world. He went to the Kingdom of Korea, where he went to a bookstore whose owner was Rim Ko. He works for the same person who informs Rim that King Lee Gon is not in the palace, which tells us that Rim has a spy in the palace too, from whom he gets all the information about Lee Gon. Here, Lee Gon also understands that there is someone else who can travel in the other world and has the other part of this flute, due to which Lee Gon understands that Rim is alive because he had the other part of the flute. Then we see Lirim, who is preparing his army to fight with Lee Gon so that he can get the other part of the flute from Lee Gon. Here, Yeol's team is sent for an investigation, where they get into a fight with some goons, but then Govin reaches there and beats up everyone alone. Tae-eul asks him, "How did you come here?" Lee Gon tells her that I had gone to the police station to return your car. From there I came to know that you people are here. That's why I am here. But I came and said thank you that I came here, otherwise you both were going to play a band today. So all three go to have lunch from here, where Shinj has to go for some work. Lee Gon says to Tae-eul, "Are you very busy today?" Tae-eul says yes, there is a lot of work, but why are you asking? Lee Gon says, "I am going back to my world today, so I thought that I can spend some more time with you." Tae-eul says, "So now you have remembered your home too." Lee Gon says, "I did not forget my home. I just did not want to go." Tae-eul says, "You had said that your home is in some parallel world, but now you are talking as if your home is in the nearby city." Lee Gon says, "I just wanted to say goodbye to you before leaving." Tae-eul says, "Okay then," saying goodbye she leaves. Lee Gon starts looking at her while leaving. When Tae-eul returns home in the evening, she does not see Lee Gon's horse. We see Lee Gon, who has reached the bamboo forest. This time, because of the flute, the door to the other world opens and Lee Gon goes to his world. And because of the opening of the door to the other world, time stops in this world, which is Larimer, due to which it does not take long for Rim to understand that the one who is traveling to the other world is Lee Gon, and he has returned to his world. Here in the Kingdom of Korea, Jaeong gets the news that the king has been seen near the bamboo forest, so Jaeong goes to bring Lee Gon. But here Prime Minister Koo suddenly comes to the palace because he also came to know from his informer that Lee Gon is not in the palace. Now, hearing the news of her sudden arrival, Daima starts panicking, so she asks the guard to delay her as much as possible and gets her checked for a long time. But after some time, she comes inside. But Daima starts stopping her that you cannot go to the king's office without permission, and the Prime Minister moves her aside and goes inside. But by then Lee Gon had reached his office. So first he checks his report and tells him not to come to the palace again without informing. After his departure, Daima gets very angry at Lee Gon for leaving without informing. Lee Gon calms her down, and Daima gets more angry after seeing the date missing from her court. Lee Gon pacifies her and sends her to rest. Here, Tae-eul does not see Lee Gon for a day or two, so she wonders if he has really gone to his world. Here, Lee Gon completes all his duties and then goes to meet his uncle Prince Boy, to whom he gives the top report of Rim's dead body, which he did 25 years ago. He says that I hope you will tell me the truth about this, and leaves. From there, he goes to the library where he was remembering Tae-eul, while in the other world, Tae-eul is also sitting in the library, and she was also imagining Lee Gon in front of her, because many days had passed. And she did not see Lee Gon even once in all these days. After which we are shown Shinj, whose mother was addicted to gambling, which made Shinj feel very bad. So Shinj's mother had won a lot of money in gambling, and because of her daily gambling, Shin's name got tarnished. That's why he goes to that gambling den with his mother and arrests everyone there. The owner of the club tells Shinj that your mother is also a regular customer here, then she should also be arrested. So to reform his mother, Shinj orders to arrest her too, due to which he himself is sad. Here, Tae-eul comes out of the library, then a child collides with her with a bicycle, due to which Tae-eul's ID card falls in the manhole. Then this child says sorry to her. Tae-eul also tells him that it's okay, but this child is very mysterious. This child also exists in both the worlds, Kingdom of Korea. In this child sits outside a bookstore and keeps playing with his yo-yo, and that was the same bookstore where Rim used to get news about the palace. A lady working in the palace used to leave the news inside a book, and that lady was the lookalike of Shin's mother, whom this mysterious child had also seen. Meanwhile, Tae-eul finds out that the notes which she had seized from Lee Gon were exactly like the notes printed by them, the way real banknotes are printed. That is why Tae-eul starts finding out about Lee Gon a few days ago. She checks the CCTV footage of the day Lee Gon said goodbye to her. She finds out in the CCTV footage that he went to the bamboo forest on his horse, but he never returned from there. Tae-eul is surprised. She goes to the bamboo forest to check and asks herself if he really left. Lee Gon was also missing Tae-eul a lot, but Jaeong had tightened the security around Lee Gon so much that he could not even think of going out. Then Joy comes to ask him something, but suddenly time stops. After a while, everything becomes normal. Lee Gon says to Jaeong that did you feel that time had stopped for a while, and this has happened to me for the second time. Jo-young does not pay attention to him and asks, where did you go? Lee Gon tells him that I went to a parallel world where there is a lookalike of yours, and his name is Naesop, and Lieutenant Young-tal is also in that world, but Jaeong is not there. He does not believe him and says that you need to see a doctor. I will also tell Daima, and then he leaves. Then Lee Gon follows him to stop him and says that do not tell Daima. Meanwhile, Tae-eul does not get her photo clicked to apply for a new ID card and applies for her new ID card in the head office. After this, a few days pass again, and Tae-eul thinks of Lee Gon many times. Here, it was raining and thundering in the Kingdom of Korea, due to which Lee Gon's shoulder starts hurting a lot and some strange marks start glowing. Jo-young is surprised to see them. He goes to call the royal doctor, but then Lee Gon leaves wearing his stick and jacket. Meanwhile, Tae-eul gets his new ID card, whose issuance date is November 11th, 2019. Seeing this, Tae-eul is surprised because Lee Gon had also told her that he is Tae-eul's ID, which he got 25 years ago, and its issuing date was November 11th, 2019. That's why Tae-eul is quite shocked. Then she gets a call from Lee Gon, who invites her to meet him at home. Tae-eul quickly heads to his house, where she is surprised to see Lee Gon after so many days and asks him, where did you go? Lee Gon replies, I told you that I am going to my world. Tae-eul asks, is there really another world? Lee Gon says, yes, I have told you so many times. Tae-eul asks, did you say something about my ID card? Then tell me, what color jacket am I wearing in it, and how is my hair? Lee Gon replies, you were wearing a navy-colored jacket and your hair was tied. Hearing this, Tae-eul is shocked and asks, how is this possible? How do you know? Lee Gon says, if you want to see, then let's go to my world. Maybe then you will believe my words. Tae-eul agrees, saying, let's go. If I lie this time, it will be very bad. Then both of them sit on the horse and head to the bamboo forest. Lee Gon says, don't get scared seeing what will happen now. Two large players stand in front, and the door to the other world opens. After crossing it, both reach the Kingdom of Korea. Jaeong and his royal guards also arrive there searching for Lee Gon. They are surprised to see a girl with their king. Tae-eul is also shocked to see Jaeong. She asks Lee Gon, is this Yusuf? Lee Gon replies, I told you, right? Tae-eul looks at Lee Gon in shock. Then Lee Gon says, I am the king of the Kingdom of Korea, and my name, by which no one can call me here, is Lee Gon. Jaeong tells Daima that the king has brought a girl with him. Daima asks Jaeong to bring Lee Gon to the palace via the sea route and instructs him to ensure that this news does not get out. Jaeong agrees and takes one of his guards with him. Tae-eul is still in shock. Lee Gon leaves toward the sea route, and Jaeong also takes one of his guards with him. Tae-eul remembers that when they crossed the magical door, they reached a different place where there was no air or water. Even the time was standing still there. Tae-eul, surprised, asks, "Is this some fourth dimension?" Lee Gon replies, "I don't know. I can't explain this to you scientifically, but this place connects my world and yours. A minute spent here is equal to hours in our world," which surprises everyone. Back in the present, Tae-eul and Lee Gon are at a place where Tae-eul is looking for a network on her phone. However, there is no network here. Lee Gon says, "Now you believe me, right?" Tae-eul says, "Can't you see?" I am so shocked. Hearing this, Jae-young tells her, "You should speak carefully," to which Tae-eul responds, "You should not say anything. You are my friend." Jae-young has a gun. Seeing this, Tae-eul asks, "Is this a real gun?" She tries to take out the gun, but Jae-young holds her hand. Lee Gon then says, "Don't worry, she doesn't know how to handle a gun." Jae-young hands her the gun, and Tae-eul checks it, confirming that it is real. She points the gun at Lee Gon and says, "I just want to check something." Meanwhile, all the guards point their guns at her, and Jae-young steps in front of Lee Gon. Tae-eul asks, "If this country and you are the king here, is all this true?" Lee Gon replies, "Everything is true. That's why I don't do anything stupid, or else these people can do anything to protect me." Tae-eul gives the gun to Jae-young. Seeing Tae-eul, Jae-young remembers that this is Lieutenant Young Tae-eul. Hearing this, Tae-eul is surprised and asks, "Do you know me too?" The scene cuts. Both reach the palace by boat, where Kdrama gets angry at Lee Gon again. First, she puts all of Tae-eul's belongings in a box where she recognizes her by giving her ID. Lee Gon says, "Now you have recognized me too." Hearing this, Tae-eul is surprised and asks, "Do you know me too?" Kdrama asks Tae-eul to stay in this room and takes her to talk. Tae-eul starts looking at the palace with surprise. Kdrama sends Sunny to take care of Tae-eul and gives her a special order to keep Tae-eul locked in the study room for as long as she stays there. Upon seeing Sunny, Tae-eul starts calling her Nari because she looks like her friend Nari. Sunny tells her about herself, which makes Tae-eul gradually understand that in her world, Naesop's lookalike is Jae-young, and similarly, Nari's lookalike is Sunny. Sunny then brings a medicinal tea for her that will help her sleep. Tae-eul asks, "Do you want me to sleep?" Sunny replies, "Yes, I have been ordered to keep an eye on you. If you sleep, it will be good for both of us." But Tae-eul still has many questions about this place, so she asks for a laptop or a mobile. Sunny says, "It is not right for you to use these things." Tae-eul asks her to bring wine. The scene shifts to Jae-young, who is thinking about Lee Gon's talk of a parallel world. He goes to the study room, sends Sunny out, and asks Tae-eul, "Are you really from a parallel world?" Tae-eul starts laughing upon seeing him because the young man, who is completely opposite to Naesop, has brought a glass to take Tae-eul's fingerprint. Tae-eul gives her fingerprint and tells him, "Do whatever you want, but you won't be able to find out about me. The reason for which you should ask your boss." Jae-young asks, "Is the name of your country the Republic of Korea?" Tae-eul replies, "How do you know?" Jae-young then asks, "Who are you, and what have you done to our king? Is it because of you that those marks appeared on the king's shoulder?" Tae-eul asks, "What marks on the shoulder?" She adds, "I'm not close enough to your boss to know what's happening with his body, so whatever you want to ask your king, because he has more knowledge about science." Meanwhile, Sunny calls Jae-young out because Lee Gon had brought food for Tae-eul. Before Jae-young could ask Tae-eul anything further, Lee Gon enters and says, "I know you have a lot of questions, but I will explain everything properly later," and sends both of them away. Jae-young then asks Sunny if she noticed anything strange about the girl. Sunny responds, "I'm not going to tell you anything because I only report to Kdrama," and leaves. Meanwhile, Tae-eul asks Lee Gon, "Are you going to lock me in this room?" Lee Gon explains, "I brought you here without telling anyone, so everyone is a little panicked right now because this is a matter of our king's security." He then takes Tae-eul's phone and tells her, "I want to know something about this place." After that, Lee Gon gives her food. Tae-eul throws a tantrum, asking, "What if there's poison in it? You test it first." Lee Gon responds, "Have you forgotten that this is my world, and your head can be chopped off for speaking rudely to me?" Hearing this, Tae-eul quickly eats the food. Meanwhile, Yama arrives and tells Tae-eul that she has arranged a room for her to sleep in. She sends Lee Gon away and takes Tae-eul to her room, where she tells Tae-eul, You do not have to talk to anyone else here, especially not about the king. Tae-eul asks, How did you people know my name? Daima replies, 25 years ago, the king got your ID card and has been looking for you ever since. In our kingdom of Korea, there is no officer named Lieutenant Young Tae-eul. In fact, there is no lieutenant position in our police force, which is very strange. Your presence here is quite shocking to us. After saying this, she leaves. Once they leave, Lee Gon enters the room through the window and brings coke for Tae-eul because he knew she wouldn't be able to sleep. Before Tae-eul could ask anything, he says, "Don't get me wrong. I just didn't want to leave you alone. That's why I came to keep you company, so you don't get scared." Tae-eul asks, "When are you going to show me my ID card that you have?" Lee Gon responds, "Tomorrow." Tae-eul then asks, "Do you really have my ID card or are you pretending?" He says, "I really have it, but after seeing it now, maybe you are still trying to remember your world." Tae-eul says she wants to go back and is upset that he hasn't shown her the ID yet. She goes to say something rudely to him, but Lee Gon interrupts, saying, "There are many cameras installed in this room, so behave carefully because the security team is watching us right now." Hearing this, Tae-eul gets a little scared. Lee Gon then says, "Don't worry, there's nothing like that," but Tae-eul doesn't believe him. Lee Gon sits with his head on her shoulder and says, "Now do you believe it?" Tae-eul gently tells him, "Move your head away." It may seem romantic to them, but that's not the case. Lee Gon says, "There's no such thing," to which Tae-eul replies, "Just answer yes or no." "I've never dated anyone." Lee Gon asks, "What do you think?"
Guess it.
Saying this, he kisses Tae-eul and then asks, "Do you think I've ever dated before? Or is this my first time and you are my first date?" Hearing this, Tae-eul looks at him in shock. The scene shifts to the next morning, where Lee Gon brings a royal guard uniform for Tae-eul and says, "Wear this and come with me so that you don't have to stay locked in this room. I'll be busy the whole day today, but I'll spend time with you on this pretext. We need to leave before Daima sees us, so change quickly and come out." Daima overhears their conversation, but doesn't refuse Lee Gon. She tells him to be careful so that no one takes photos of them together. Lee Gon then leaves for his work in the royal guard getup, and Tae-eul follows him. They go to a basketball match, after which Lee Gon gives a lecture at a university. After the lecture, Lee Gon is supposed to head to another city, so he asks Jaeyoung to get casual clothes for Tae-eul. Jaeyoung also gives Tae-eul some money and tells her to explore the city until evening to improve her mood. However, Lee Gon has also asked Jaeyoung to keep an eye on Tae-eul to make sure she doesn't get into any trouble. Jaeyoung secretly follows her.
Meanwhile, we learn more about Rim.
Rim has sent people from both worlds to each other's worlds and had their lookalikes killed. In the other world, these people took the place of their lookalikes, and now all of them work for Litan. Tae-eul visits many places. While roaming in a mall, she is seen by two goons. These are the same people who were after a girl named Luna in the first episode, the girl wearing a hoodie. They mistake Tae-eul for Luna. They're about to follow her, but Jaeyoung stops them by pointing out that the girl is Luna. He quickly drives them away and doesn't pay much attention to the situation. Tae-eul then goes to a police station looking for a lookalike of Shinj. She finds out that there's no officer named Shinj. Tae-eul wasn't really looking for her lookalike in this world because Lee Gon had told her many times that Tae-eul isn't from this world. So, she goes to Shinj's address here to find out about him, but there's no one named Shinj there either. She then visits the address of her old house and learns about a woman named Bang Hui. The woman living there tells her that no one named Bang Hui lives there. Tae-eul decides to go to Busan. She tries to get to the metro station to return to the city, but doesn't have enough money for the ticket, and no buses are going to Busan. Now, Tae-eul is stuck. Today, she finds the number of the Royal Court of Lee Gon from the ID card of the Royal Guard she now has. She calls repeatedly, saying, "I know your king, he's my friend, and I'm stuck in Seoul City." The Royal Guards think it's a prank call and keep disconnecting her calls. But Tae-eul keeps calling. Finally, one of them picks up and she says, "Tell your king that I am Princess Diana." Upon hearing the name Princess Diana, Lee Gon, who is in his private helicopter, tells the pilot to turn towards Seoul City Station. Tae-eul gets lost along the way. Jaeyoung, who's nearby, learns that Lee Gon is coming to Seoul in his helicopter, so he goes to find her. News of King Lee Gon's sudden landing in Seoul reaches Prime Minister Koo as well, and she quickly heads to the metro station. Lee Gon arrives with full security and asks Tae-eul, "Why did you come so far? And who are you looking for here by the name Bang Hui?" Tae-eul realizes that Jeong had been following her. She responds, "Yoon is my mother's name. She died when I was 5. You told me I'm not from this world, but I thought maybe my mother's lookalike could be here, so I was looking for her. But she's not here either." Lee Gon then asks, "You searched my phone for information on King Lee Gon's ex-girlfriend. Why are you so curious about me?" This embarrasses Tae-eul. Just then, Minister Koo arrives. Lee Gon is surprised but understands that the sudden landing of his helicopter has alerted her. The Prime Minister approaches them and asks Lee Gon, "Why are you here so late in the night? And who is this unknown lady?" She extends her hand to shake Lee Gon's. Earlier, we saw the Prime Minister's secretary informing her that the king's helicopter was about to land in Seoul. After hearing this, she quickly arrives at the station. Lee Gon realizes that the Prime Minister will now suspect Tae-eul, but Tae-eul reassures him, saying, "Don't worry, I'll handle the situation." When the Prime Minister arrives, Tae-eul tells her, "I'm a traveler, and this is my first time in the Kingdom of Korea." Before the Prime Minister can ask about their relationship, Lee Gon says, "It's getting late, we should leave." He then takes Tae-eul with him, but the Prime Minister remains suspicious of their relationship because it's the first time she's seen Lee Gon with a girl. The Prime Minister asks her secretary to investigate Tae-eul. As Lee Gon and Tae-eul head towards the palace with Lee Gon's secretary sitting in front, Tae-eul asks him something, so Lee Gon suggests that she write it down on his hand. They exchange questions and answers through hand gestures, leaving the secretary shocked. She recalls that a few days ago, there were rumors about the Prime Minister's relationship with Lee Gon. She asks Lee Gon about it and he tells her, "Don't worry, I don't like the Prime Minister. I like a girl more beautiful than her." Returning to the present, when the secretary sees Tae-eul, Lee Gon says, "This is the girl I told you about." The secretary is happy that now Kdrama won't have to worry, but the Prime Minister is furious because she had hoped to marry Lee Gon and become queen.
Now, it seems that Tae-eul may be in the way.
She says, "I won't let this happen." Once they arrive, Lee Gon takes Tae-eul to the kitchen, where he says, "Now that Secretary Mo knows about you, it won't be long before everyone else finds out too." Tae-eul asks, "Why did you bring me to the kitchen?" Lee Gon says, "You've only eaten one sandwich the whole day, which Jeong told me. That's why let's eat something together." Saying this, he starts cooking. Tae-eul asks, "You intentionally gave me less money, right?" Lee Gon admits, "Yes, because I didn't want you to go too far and face any problems." Tae-eul responds, "After roaming around here alone all day, I understood how lonely you were in my world." Lee Gon asks, "Did you feel lonely?" He feels frustrated, thinking, "I can't tell anyone about myself, and even if I do, no one would believe me." Lee Gon asks Tae-eul to come closer, touching his forehead to hers and saying, "I am here," which makes Tae-eul feel a little shy. She responds, "This doesn't seem like your first time." Lee Gon then asks, "Did you not check the internet last night to see if I have a girlfriend?" Tae-eul changes the topic. "It seems you can cook well." Lee Gon answers, "I can cook well. Kdrama taught me." Tae-eul says, "I also read about your father and Laren." Lee Gon looks at her and Tae-eul continues, "You've grown up to be a very good person." Her eyes fall on the mark on Lee Gon's neck, a result of Rim attacking him with a piece of bamboo 25 years ago. Before Lee Gon can ask anything, Tae-eul tells him everything, and he feels bad for her. To lighten the mood, Lee Gon says, "After hearing such a story, at least you should give me a lesson." This makes Tae-eul smile. She then reminds him, "You were going to show me my ID card today, the one you got 25 years ago. Anyway, I still have to go to my world." Hearing this, Lee Gon becomes upset and says, "I won't let you go anywhere. You have to stay here with me." Lee Gon wants this, but he doesn't want to force Tae-eul. After they eat, they agree to talk more. The scene cuts. We then see Shinj, who has been missing Tae-eul a lot after not meeting him all day. Looking at his slippers, he remembers a flashback. In high school, some students were bullying him, and Tae-eul, who was passing by, called the police and reported the situation. She beat the boys up since she was a taekwondo expert from childhood. The scene shifts to the police station, where the parents of the boys are scolding them while taking them home. Shin's condition is very bad. His shoes were lost in the fight, so Tae-eul gave him her slippers and asked him to come to her father's taekwondo club. Tae-eul taught him taekwondo, and their friendship began. Shin started liking her. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister calls a meeting of the National Security Council, NSC, because something significant has happened. Jeong sends Tae-eul's fingerprints for forensic analysis and asks the police about Luna. Lee Gon calls Tae-eul, learning that there are many complaints against Luna, which makes him doubt if Tae-eul is Luna. He also receives an alert message from the NSC. During dinner, Lee Gon shows Tae-eul his ID card, and she's surprised. She asks, "How could this have come to you 25 years ago? I only had this issue a few days ago." Lee Gon replies, "I don't know yet, but I got it from a mysterious person 25 years ago. That person is the beginning and end of all this, and I will find them at any cost." Then Jeong arrives, telling Lee Gon about the NSC meeting. Lee Gon says, "I was going to send you back to your world tomorrow morning, but you may have to go now." We then learn that Japan is preparing to attack the Kingdom of Korea. Lee Gon asks Daima to bring Tae-eul's things, and she goes to her room to fetch a box with Tae-eul's belongings. However, Tae-eul's ID card is missing. Daima is confused about who could have taken it, so she calls the palace control room to find out who had entered her room all day. But since Jeong had ordered the palace security cameras to be turned off, no one can find out about Tae-eul's whereabouts. Due to this, Daima could not find out who had come to Tae-eul's room today. So, she gathers all of Tae-eul's belongings and goes to Lee Gon, who is wearing his navy uniform to go to war. Daima tells him about Tae-eul's missing ID card and suggests that maybe someone has stolen it from her room. Hearing this, Lee Gon says, "I can't make you understand, but it seems all this was destined to happen. I got Tae-eul's ID card 25 years ago, and now Tae-eul's real ID card is missing from our palace. All of these events are somehow connected." Daima doesn't understand. Just then, Jeong arrives. Lee Gon tells Daima and Jeong to leave, so he can speak with Tae-eul privately. Lee Gon hands Tae-eul a navy uniform and asks, "Are you in the navy?" Tae-eul replies, "Yes, I am the commander-in-chief of the Kingdom of Korea. Do you trust me now?" Tae-eul says, "Yes, I trust you." Lee Gon then gives her his ID card and says, "Maybe it was written in fate that this card would come to you." Tae-eul asks if Lee Gon is also going to war. He replies, "Yes, but don't worry, I'll return to you safely after winning the war." Tae-eul asks, "Will you really come back?" Lee Gon responds, "Will you wait for me?" Tae-eul replies, "Yes, I will wait for you. We will meet again." Hearing his name from Tae-eul for the first time, Lee Gon says, "I thought no one could call me by my name, but from today, only you can call me by my name." The scene cuts. Lee Gon takes Tae-eul to the Republic of Korea, where Tae-eul, upon arriving home, hugs her father tightly because she missed him a lot. Tae-eul's dad asks about the horse, and Tae-eul tells him it went back to its home. He left without saying anything.
"He was a strange man," she says.
"We took care of his horse for so many days, and he left without saying goodbye." Tae-eul continues, "He told me he would come back in a few days." Tae-eul starts working again the next day. Meanwhile, the Japanese army is preparing to attack Korea, but Korea is ready for them. Not only are the Korean soldiers ready at sea, but fighter jets are also positioned in the sky. Lee Gon's fighter jets fire to warn the Japanese army, and upon seeing this, the Japanese army understands that they won't be able to stand against the Korean soldiers. Thus, they retreat beyond Korea's boundaries, avoiding the need for battle. That evening, Tae-eul returns home, having started to miss Lee Gon. She takes some flower petals from her pocket and remembers planting seeds from the Kingdom of Korea when Gon had come through the portal to send her back to her world. She had planted the seeds in the ground of the portal. Lee Gon had told her, "There's no air, no water, no sun, and no time here, so how can flowers grow?" Tae-eul had responded, "How will anyone know unless someone tries to plant seeds here?" Coming back to the present, Tae-eul plants the seeds in her house as well. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's secretary informs him that an informer from the royal palace has reported that a guest of the king has arrived, but no one has seen her face. Since her arrival, palace security has been tightened. The Prime Minister says, "I've seen her. The girl who was with the king last night in Seoul City is the king's special guest, so find out everything you can about her." The secretary gathers information about her family. She is only her mother and sells fish at the market. She is very nice and down to earth. One day, someone left an umbrella at her shop, which she kept safely. Meanwhile, Tae-eul, who is investigating a murder case, remembers Lee Gon when she sees the notes seized from him. When Lee Gon kissed her, Tae-eul had been shocked. She just stared at him, and then Lee Gon had asked her to take off her clothes. "It's not too early," he said, but Tae-eul remarked that there was a strange mark on his shoulder. Joang had asked her if the scar was from him. Lee Gon replied, "That's not entirely wrong. This mark appeared on my body only after meeting you." He then went to remove his clothes, but stopped Tae-eul and said, "There's no need to take off everything, just unbutton 2 of them." Lee Gon laughed, "My shoulders are broad. You won't be able to see anything by opening 2 buttons." Tae-eul replied, "Forget it, there's no need. Go to your room," and sent him away. Coming back to the present, the kiss was still on Tae-eul's mind. To calm herself, she listens to the call recording from a phone found at a murder scene. In it, a man refers to Prince Boyo as his father and King Heejo as his grandfather. Tae-eul is surprised, as Prince Boyo and King Hae-young are from Lee Gon's world. Prince Boyo is Lee Gon's uncle, and King Hae-young was his grandfather. Tae-eul remembers reading about them on Lee Gon's phone. Back at the palace, Lee Gon finds a rubber band that Tae-eul left behind. Seeing it, he feels happy, knowing she has been missing him as well. Kdrama tells Lee Gon that she still hasn't found Tae-eul's ID card. She suspects someone has stolen it from the room, but assures Lee Gon, "Don't worry, I'll find the thief." Lee Gon replies, "Kdrama, you work so hard. You've been taking care of me and the palace since childhood. You've protected everything. You even hid the magical flute piece in a stick and protected it." Kdrama says, "It's my duty to find the body of that traitor Rim. When we found it, I searched for the other piece of the flute with her, but couldn't find it. Maybe it got washed away in the sea." Meanwhile, Jeong discovers that the oil's fingerprints don't match anyone from their country. Shocked, he asks the police to investigate Luna. The next day, Prince Boyo tells Lee Gon the truth. The body of Rim found 25 years ago was not the traitor Rim's. A post-mortem revealed that the body had been handicapped since childhood. However, the fingerprints and DNA matched the traitor Rim. Despite knowing this, Prince Boyo had to give a false report for the sake of the kingdom's future. Lee Gon now confirms that Rim is alive. We then see Rim in the Republic of Korea, where he goes to Nari's cafe. After leaving, there is a heavy rainstorm, and Rim meets Yeso. When the twin siblings collide, Rim's scarred face scares them. After Rim leaves, Nari tells Yosop that the man's face was terrifying. Yosop calms him down and takes him home. Meanwhile, Lee Gon realizes that Liren killed his father to get the flute, and that if Rim is still alive, he will come after him for the other part of the flute. The scene cuts to the Republic of Korea, where Tae-eul returns home to see Lee Gon waiting outside her house. She becomes emotional and runs to hug him. Lee Gon thinks to himself, "If Rim is alive, then Tae-eul is in danger because of me." And so, episode 6 ends. In episode 7, we see Rim, who has photos of everyone close to Lee Gon: Prince Boyo, Kdrama, Jeong, the Prime Minister, and Tae-eul, Shinj, Yunsap, and Nari's family. It seems Rim is now targeting everyone connected to Lee Gon. At the end of episode 6, Lee Gon went to the Republic of Korea. All these scenes occurred before that. Tae-eul and Shinj's team investigate a girl's murder case, and Tae-eul suspects the girl's boyfriend and roommate, so she begins her investigation with Shinj. Here, Kdrama, with Sunny's help, catches a maid who had been leaking information about the palace, but she did not steal Tae-eul's ID card. Kdrama and Sunny then start keeping an eye on all the palace employees. Meanwhile, the dead girl's roommate reveals that the girl had a boyfriend, and their relationship was strained, leading to the suspicion that he might be the killer. Tae's team begins investigating the boyfriend. During this time, a special agent of Lilim is secretly observing Shinj. In the Kingdom of Korea, Lee Gon finishes his work for the week and plans to escape to the bamboo forest with his horse. However, Jeong is waiting for him, knowing that Lee Gon would try to escape again. Lee Gon realizes that the fewer guards today were because of Jeong's plan. Jeong tells him that Lee Gon has been deceived. The person he thinks is a thief is actually Luna, a notorious thief with an arrest warrant out for her. Lee Gon is shocked and learns that Tae-eul's lookalike, Luna, is in their world. Jeong insists that either he accompanies Lee Gon, or Lee Gon must kill him to leave. Lee Gon agrees to take him along, as he had already informed his royal court that Jeong would be on leave. Lee Gon then uses the flute stick to open a portal to another world, surprising Jeong. Meanwhile, Lee Rim, in the Republic of Korea, is meeting a prominent businessman when everything suddenly freezes. Rim realizes that Lee Gon has returned to the Republic of Korea. Back in the palace, Daima finds a note from Lee Gon's room stating that he and Jeong are leaving for a few days and will return by next Friday. Daima is still very worried about Lee Gon. Meanwhile, Tae-eul is at the police station when she sees a file with the name Kim Gadang, which is Lee Gon's alias. She begins to miss him deeply. After finishing her work, Tae-eul returns home to find Lee Gon waiting outside her house. Seeing him safe and sound makes Tae-eul very emotional, as she hadn't heard from him since the war with Japan. Lee Gon asks if she had been waiting for him, and Tae-eul smiles, saying yes. Lee Gon expresses relief, fearing she might not want to see him again. Tae-eul runs to hug him, and Lee Gon is happy, returning the hug. Lee Gon then takes Tae-eul to a place he had rented, but when they arrive, Jeong is there. Tae-eul mistakes him for Yusuf due to his strange clothes and asks him what he's doing and where he left Kabi and Yunbai. Jeong looks at her in shock. Tae-eul becomes suspicious and asks Lee Gon if this is Jeong. Lee Gon confirms, explaining that he had to bring Jeong, or he wouldn't let Lee Gon come alone. Just then, Yoon-sop arrives, and both he and Jeong are shocked to see each other. Yoon is so surprised that he almost faints. When Tae-eul checks on him, Yoon slaps his cheeks to wake up and exclaims his confusion about what just happened. He then sees Jeong and comments on how they look alike, both of them stunned. Yoon and Jeong ask each other who they are, with Yoon still in shock. Tae-eul begins explaining the concept of parallel worlds to Yoon, but he is more amazed by the fact that he looks so handsome. Jeong, surprised, asks if no one around Yoon ever called him handsome. Yusuf then says, "Forget all that. It means Raja Sahib's story was true. He has come from another world, and this lookalike of mine is Raja Sahib's bodyguard. You people are really from another world." Jeong, surprised, listens as Tae-eul asks Yen Sab to come to his house, since Yusuf lives alone with his twin brother and sister. Once at the house, Jeong greets everyone with a smile and starts checking around. Naesop, talking too casually to Lee Gon, calls him Tum Tum. Jeong points a gun at him, warning him not to speak rudely to Raja Sahib. Tae-eul steps in to calm him down, then makes both men sit and explains the situation, forbidding them from going out together. This leads to an argument over who will go out and when. Lee Gon intervenes and asks them to stay while he goes to have dinner with Tae-eul. As they sit, Jeong begins to look at photos. He notices that Yan's and Jong's parents look the same, but Jong has no siblings. When asked about this, Yeso explains that his family lives in Busan, and it seems that Yan's parents don't have time for siblings, adding that they got divorced long ago. Meanwhile, Naesop apologizes to Yeso, but their argument continues. Tae-eul and Lee Gon then go on a date at a restaurant, where Tae-eul gives Lee Gon a phone and saves all her contacts. Lee Gon expresses how much he missed her, and Tae-eul agrees. Lee Gon holds Tae-eul's hand throughout the evening as they enjoy dinner. Afterward, Tae-eul puts on sunglasses and tells Lee Gon that she wants to take him somewhere special. They arrive at a shop where prizes are won by shooting at balloons with a gun. Tae-eul wins a big stuffed toy by hitting all the targets, surprising Lee Gon. He jokes that she must have made a deal with the shop owner, but Tae-eul reveals that she was the best shooter in her police academy batch. They then head toward Yun Saf's house in a lighthearted mood. Lee Gon shares details about an audio recording, which surprises him. The scene then shifts to Lirang in the Republic of Korea, where he's reading a newspaper about US President Donald Trump and North Korean President Kim Jong meeting. Rim's driver, who is his trusted aide, asks about the next plan, and Rim replies, Whatever I've planned will happen. Meanwhile, Lee Gon and Tae-eul listen to the same recording, from which Lee Gon realizes that the conversation in the recording involves the kingdom. He questions why conversations from his world are on a phone from this world. Lee Gon asks Tae-eul to stay out of the investigation, but Tae-eul insists it's her case to solve. She wants to understand why the worlds are blending and how the other world began. Lee Gon then shows her the autopsy report of Rim's dead body and explains the entire story. His uncle killed his father out of greed for the magical flute, which broke into two parts. One part stayed with Lee Gon, and the other with his uncle. Through this flute, the door to the other world opened, allowing Leary to enter. Leary killed his lookalike here and discarded the body in the Kingdom of Korea. Everyone thought Leary was dead, but he's alive and can travel between both worlds, just like Lee Gon. Lee Gon believes that Leary must be 69 years old now, so they should match his fingerprints and DNA to see if they match anyone in this world, and try to find out what he was doing all these years. Tae-eul then asks if there's a lookalike of hers in Lee Gon's world. Lee Gon is uncertain about Luna, as Jeong had mentioned, and he doesn't tell her anything about her. The next day, Tae-eul submits Rim's fingerprints for matching. The results show that they match with a person named Lee Sang-jae, who reportedly died 24 years ago at the Young Sun Care Center. Tae-eul realizes that Rim killed him and orchestrated this entire drama. The officer then extracts the family data, revealing that Lee Sang-jae's brother, Lee Gon's father's lookalike, was also killed by Rim and made to look like an accident. It also mentions the death of younger Lee Gon's lookalike in this world, named Jihin. Tae-eul had seen childhood photos of Lee Gon in the Kingdom of Korea, which helped her realize that Lee Gon also had a lookalike in this world. Lee Gon tells Joy about Leering and informs him that he will leave on Friday, but Joy must stay in this world. Lee Gon plans to take Yusuf with him to replace Joy, so Joy can kill Rim here. If Lee Gon finds Rim in the Kingdom of Korea, he will kill him there. However, Joy doesn't fully believe Lee Gon's words, and during this conversation, time suddenly stops. Lee Gon realizes that Rim has traveled between worlds, but isn't sure if he's gone to the Kingdom of Korea or come to this world. Lee Gon notices that time stopped longer than before, so to prove it to Jeong, he writes a note and puts it in his pocket. When time resumes, Jeong checks the pocket and finds a note, confirming Lee Gon's claim. Although Jeong is convinced, he remains worried about Lee Gon's safety. Lee Gon reassures him, saying that Rim will need the other part of the flute that Lee Gon possesses. If Rim is in this world, only Jeong will recognize him. So Lee Gon orders Jeong to kill him if he appears after Lee Gon's return. Meanwhile, in the Kingdom of Korea, the policeman who Jeong had asked to investigate Luna tries to call him but gets no response. The policeman then contacts the royal court and reveals that Luna is in a jail in another city, and the fingerprints Jeong sent match hers exactly. The Prime Minister also learns about Luna using his influence and finds out that she will be released soon. The Prime Minister considers Luna Lee Gon's guest and is surprised to see her in jail. When she arrives, Luna, dressed in a rabbit hoodie, is released, and she walks toward the Prime Minister, but their conversation is cut short by a parcel delivered to the Prime Minister's office. Inside the parcel is a newspaper with a story about US President Donald Trump and North Korean President Kim Jong meeting. The Prime Minister is confused, as in this world, North and South Korea are not separate countries, only the Kingdom of Korea exists. He dismisses the newspaper as fake and sets it aside. As Luna is freed, she encounters the Prime Minister. Luna becomes annoyed when her cigarette falls on the Prime Minister, but he remains calm and asks about her past. Luna, getting irritated, threatens the Prime Minister. He then asks if she has a twin sister. Luna responds sarcastically, saying that if the Prime Minister knows everything about her, he should be able to find out if she is one. Afterward, she leaves and heads to a shop where she violently confronts a man and demands the return of 20 million rupees, which he had stolen from her, threatening him with dire consequences if he doesn't pay her back. Meanwhile, Tae-eul goes to Nasan Medical Center to inquire about a death report related to Laren and her brother's lookalike. The manager at the center denies having the report, suggesting that many people connected to Laren once worked there. The Prime Minister's mother contacts him, asking about the mysterious newspaper he had received. The Prime Minister denies sending it, suspecting someone may be playing a joke on him. Soon after, Laren visits the Prime Minister's mother's shop and asks for his umbrella, which she had kept. She recognizes him, but can't quite place him. Laren leaves with his umbrella, but remains an enigmatic figure. Back at the bookstore, the mysterious boy, who had been playing with a yo-yo, meets Luna. She asks him for something, and he gives her a key. Luna tells him to wear his rabbit hoodie or risk feeling cold, and they part ways. This mysterious boy is not an ordinary person, adding to the intrigue of the situation. Tae-eul and Shinji, investigating a girl's murder, suspect her roommate may be involved and begin investigating him. Meanwhile, Lee Gon takes Joy around the world to show him the place. They go to a restaurant to eat a famous local dish, with Joy wearing a mask to remain unrecognized. As they leave, they are confronted by the same goons Lee Gon had fought before. They want revenge and confront Lee Gon with guns. Lee Gon calmly warns them, saying, "I hit you all with love, but the one with me will hit you much worse." When Jaeong, unexpectedly, says that he wasn't thinking about fighting, Lee Gon realizes that Jaeong is actually Yusuf. Lee Gon asks Yusuf where Joy is, to which Yusuf replies that he doesn't know. He explains that Joy asked him to come in his place, so here he is, but he doesn't want to fight. Yusuf then runs away and hides behind a street corner. Lee Gon, on the other hand, begins fighting the goons alone. Just then, the real Jaeong appears, wearing a mask, and joins the fight, defeating the goons. One of the goons removes Jaeong's mask, and the police, who had been investigating nearby, arrive on the scene. They mistake Jaeong for Yusuf, which surprises them because Yusuf was known as the most timid trainee at the police academy, who never performed well in fights. The officers present their IDs, and Jaeong realizes they are Yusuf's senior officers. To avoid suspicion, Jaeong speaks as if he were Yusuf, explaining that the goons were troubling his friend, so he fought back. The officers are impressed with Jaeong's performance and decide to introduce Lee Gon. Lee Gon is reluctant to reveal himself, but Jaeong silences him and says they should leave because they're getting late. Once they're back at their room, Lee Gon questions Jaeong about his actions. Jaeong explains that he had to act like Yusuf in that emergency situation. Lee Gon, slightly irritated, says that his unbroken sword, a nickname for Jaeong, never speaks to him so rudely. Jaeong apologizes, saying he's sorry and would accept any punishment, even having his head chopped off. Lee Gon, being lenient, forgives him but marks Jaeong's cheek with a marker, saying that if Jaeong erases the mark, he will face dire consequences. Jaeong thanks him, and at that moment, Lee Gon receives a call from Tae-eul. Lee Gon informs her that he and Jaeong are staying at the hotel to ensure Yusuf doesn't face any issues. Tae-eul asks Lee Gon to meet her outside the hotel in 10 minutes. Lee Gon goes downstairs to meet Tae-eul. Before he can say anything, she asks him, "If I hadn't helped you when you first came here, would you still have loved me?" Lee Gon replies that he would have understood her and would have fallen in love with her anyway. Then Tae-eul asks, "If I had been rude to you, would you still have loved me?" Lee Gon responds that she had already been rude to him and he would still have loved her. Lee Gon is curious about why she is asking these questions now, to which Tae-eul explains that these are things people usually ask before entering a relationship, but they never had that conversation. She also says she will be busy with work for a couple of days, so she thought of meeting him before that. As she leaves, Tae-eul says, "I love you," which surprises Lee Gon. He too says, "I love you," and feels very happy. Meanwhile, Jaeong is out for a walk in the city when he encounters Nari. She asks him to stop, commenting on his unusual appearance, assuming he is Yusuf. Jaeong is caught off guard, unsure how to respond. He is further surprised when he realizes that Nari looks exactly like Sunny. Jaeong is confused and wonders about her connection to Naesop. Not wanting to give away his identity, he avoids looking at Nari. She keeps asking him questions, pressing him about his appearance and where he had been. Jaeong, using his charm, asks her to step aside and tries to learn more about her relationship with Yusuf. He gets close to Nari and says, "I'm very curious to know if I have a crush on you or on you." Nari, clearly shocked, hits him and replies, "That's why you don't have a girlfriend. You know how to flirt." She then notices the black mark on his face and, irritated, wipes it off. Nari tells him to come to her shop, as she has made a special cake. and leaves. Naesop is walking along the road when someone suddenly pulls him into an alley, which turns out to be Jaeang's. Yoon-saf, who is with Jaeong, asks him why he's there, reminding him that Tae-eul had told him to leave at night. Jaeong, curious, asks Naesop about a girl he had seen earlier. She was beautiful, with lovely eyes, and drove a supercar. Naesop realizes that Jaeong is referring to Nari and asks if he met her. Jaeong, eager to know more, inquires about Nari's relationship with Naesop and if he likes her. Naesop admits that he has had a crush on her for a long time. Jaeong then tells him that Nari gave him a cake from her shop and urges Naesop to take her along. Naesop, feeling very happy and blushing, admits that Nari called him, but he lacks the courage to approach her. Jaeong mocks him for his lack of confidence, calling him a loser, despite his good looks. Meanwhile, Tae-eul captures the boyfriend of the dead girl and takes him to the police station for questioning. At the same time, Shinj's mom is released from jail, and Shinj goes to dinner with her at a restaurant. He asks her if she really loves gambling that much, and she apologizes for her actions. Through their conversation, we learn about Shinj's tragic past. Shinj had an accident as a child that left him in a coma, causing immense grief for his mother. After 2 years, Shinj miraculously woke up, bringing happiness back to their lives. However, Shinj's father passed away a few years later, plunging his mother into depression. Shinj had to take on the responsibility of the household, but during this time, his mother became addicted to gambling. Shinj expresses his sadness for getting his mother arrested and apologizes for the hardships she faced. She, in turn, apologizes for wasting his hard-earned money and ruining his reputation with her addiction. After the heartfelt exchange, they reconcile and enjoy a meal together. Elsewhere, we discover that Shinj's mother's lookalike, Miss Kim, works as a spy in Rim's palace. She visits a bookstore in the Kingdom of Korea, where she writes down all the palace news and keeps it in a book. She had previously stolen Tae's ID card and hidden it in the same book. As she looks through the book, she finds multiple photos of Shinj, realizing that he is actually from the Kingdom of Korea, though Shinj himself has no knowledge of this. It is revealed that Shinj's real mother is working for Rim, leaving us wondering how Shinj ended up in the Republic of Korea and why his true mother is involved with Rim's regime. In the Republic of Korea, the boyfriend of the dead girl is questioned, but he reveals little. Later, the dead girl's roommate confesses that she killed her because of jealousy and is sent to jail. Meanwhile, Lee Gon takes Joy out for dinner, and the restaurant staff seems nervous when they see Lee Gon. The waiter nervously mutters the word chef before quickly changing the topic, prompting Lee Gon and Jaeong to realize that the man recognizes them and is likely from the Kingdom of Korea. They continue eating normally to avoid suspicion, but after leaving, Lee Gon orders Jaeong to follow the man and stop him before he can report to Lilim about them. Joy expresses concern for Lee Gon, but he reassures her, saying there are many people who can help him. The scene shifts to Prince Boyo in the Kingdom of Korea, who is looking at a family photo, revealing that he has a son and a daughter. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's mother remembers where she has seen the man with the umbrella. She searches for the royal family book at home and discovers Lilim's photo, realizing that he is the traitor Rim, who is still alive. The Prime Minister's mom is shocked to learn that Liren looks exactly the same even after 25 years. Despite being 69 years old, there is no visible change in her appearance. This is because Rim has spent much of the past 24 years inside a portal in another world, preventing any physical aging. Meanwhile, in the Republic of Korea, Tae-eul is dropping off the dead girl's boyfriend when he tells her that his girlfriend's roommate had 2 mobile phones, one of which was an old 2G phone. This reminder triggers a memory for Tae-eul from a previous case involving a man who also had a 2G phone, from which a recording related to the Kingdom of Korea was found. Tae-eul then goes to the girl's room to find the phone, but it's missing. Tae-eul had previously asked an officer to investigate Jihan, who is a lookalike of Lee Gon. The officer provides Jihan's file to Shinji, who, upon seeing a child's photo in the file, feels a sense of familiarity but cannot recall where he has seen the child before. Meanwhile, Jaeong captures the owner of a restaurant and takes him to Lee Gon, where they find an old 2G phone in the man's possession. Lee Gon confronts him, realizing that he is from the Kingdom of Korea, but the man refuses to speak. Lee Gon suspects that Lilim is behind this and that the man is a trained operative. Lee Gon presses him for information about Larimer and his plans, but the man taunts him, saying he will die like his father. Jeong punches the man, and Gogan, filled with rage, accuses him of being one of the traitors who killed his father alongside Rim. A flashback reveals that 25 years ago, Larimer had come to kill Lee Gon's father, and this man was his partner. Lee Gon orders Jeong to take the man to the Kingdom of Korea for trial. Back at the man's phone, Lee Gon discovers it is a burner phone with no saved contacts, designed to only receive incoming calls and be untraceable. Meanwhile, in jail, the girl who killed the dead girl's roommate is visited by a mysterious figure. A power outage occurs, and from the darkness, the driver of Liren appears, inquiring about her burner phone. It is revealed that this girl is also from the Kingdom of Korea but refuses to reveal anything. She demands to be released and return to the Kingdom of Korea, threatening to expose everyone if they don't comply. The driver presses her about the phone's location, and she insists it's hidden in a safe place. The driver warns her that she has no choice and that they have people in the jail too, hinting at serious consequences if she doesn't cooperate. Meanwhile, Lee Gon gives Nari a gold bar in the shape of a tooth as a thank you for renting one of her buildings. Tae-eul joins them, and they begin discussing a recent case. Nari then brings them coffee and offers cake, but she asks where Yusuf is, mentioning that she had called him to take the cake. Lee Gon, sensing something, tells Tae-eul that he thinks Nari likes Yusuf, but Tae-eul corrects him, saying it's the other way around. Yusuf has liked Nari for years but is too shy and scared to act on it. Tae-eul continues discussing their work, and Nari gives him a report on Rim, explaining that she had found out about Rim's lookalike named Lee Sang-jae, who died 25 years ago. Gogan inquires if Lee Sang-jae had a disease called poliomyelitis, which caused a disability from childhood. When Tae-eul says yes, he understands that 25 years ago, Lilim killed her lookalike Lee Sang-jae and threw him into the Kingdom of Korea. Lee Gon asks her if she has a family and if he was a member of her family in this world. Tae-eul tells him that he had a lookalike in this world, but he also died 25 years ago when he was 8 years old. Sang-jae had a younger brother, and your lookalike was his son, but he also died 25 years ago in 1994, and all three died in the nursing care center. From that family, only Jihan's mom is alive now. Her name is Young-hae. Lee Gon says that Liren first killed her lookalike, then killed my and my dad's lookalike, but my mom's lookalike is alive, which makes Lee Gon feel very bad for this family. Meanwhile, Shinj visits a graveyard, where he sees Jihan's photo because he is buried there too. Now, Shinj begins to recall some of his old memories. He gets a few glimpses of his childhood where he remembers seeing 8-year-old King Lee Gon performing funeral rites on TV after his father's death. He hears King Lee Gon's name for the first time on that TV broadcast. This revelation shocks Shinj. Then, Jihan's mother arrives at the graveyard. Shinj quickly leaves when she arrives. Later, Tae-eul goes for a walk with Lee Gon, where she talks to him about visiting his mother's lookalike. She thinks that maybe Lee Gon wants to see his mother, but Lee Gon says that only Jihan's mother is alive, so it is possible that Rim has kept her alive intentionally, or perhaps she is in cahoots with Rim. He says they must proceed carefully, reassuring Tae-eul not to worry about him. He knows that she is not his mother, only someone who looks like her. Lee Gon then goes to meet Yen Saf, telling him that from now on, he is his unbreakable sword. Naso looks back to check if Jeong has arrived. Lee Gon comments that Naso looks just like Jeong in his court. Lee Gon tells Naso that he has an important task for him. Naso becomes excited and eagerly asks what he must do. Meanwhile, in the Kingdom of Korea, the Prime Minister meets her mom and asks her why she sent her those newspapers. Her mother replies that she did not send any newspapers and tells her to forget about it. She asks if the traitor Liren had a son. The Prime Minister denies it, saying that as far as she knows, he was never married. Her mother then mentions that she saw a man who looked exactly like Liren a few days ago when he came to her shop to open his umbrella. The Prime Minister insists that this cannot be true, thinking her mother must have misunderstood. She tells her not to speak about Liren, as discussing him is forbidden. The Prime Minister leaves for her office, where she flips through the newspaper. She first sees an article about a BTS concert, then a baseball match, but in between, she spots a photo of her lookalike. She is surprised but realizes that the newspaper is from the Republic of Korea, which Lee Gon had been reading. At the police station in the Republic of Korea, Joy's coat is found by the audience, and inside the coat, they discover Joy's phone. The wallpaper of the phone shows a photo of Lee Gon with Jaeyoung. The audience member remarks that Lee Gon looks handsome in the photo. Shinj, who is also there, notices the photo and takes the phone to examine it. On the photo, Shinj notices a logo on Lee Gon's uniform, which he has seen in his dreams repeatedly. Earlier, when Shinj recalled some of his past memories, he had seen this same symbol on TV when 8-year-old Lee Gon was shown. He also remembers seeing the same logo on Lee Gon's horse. This realization leads him to ask Yusuf where Lee Gon is now. Yusuf, out of fear, tells Shinj the address of the hotel. The hotel room had been booked using Yusuf's ID, and it also contained an access card for the room. Shinj goes to the hotel room using the access card and finds Lee Gon's code on the bed. On checking the code, he finds Lee Gon's phone. Meanwhile, Rim receives a report from the top, on the cover of which is the same logo that Shinj had noticed earlier. It also reads Royal Court of Kingdom of Korea. This causes Shinj to start understanding that the crying child he had remembered might actually be Lee Gon. Meanwhile, Jaeyoung arrives, and both of them start fighting in the dark. As they struggle, the curtains open, allowing light to flood the room. Shinja is surprised to see Joy and asks, "You can't be here alone, so who are you?" Lee Gon walks in and turns on the lights. Joy, pointing at Shinja, tells Lee Gon that he was secretly going through his belongings. Lee Gon picks up an envelope and Shinja asks, "How is this logo related to you?" Lee Gon responds, "This is our royal order." Shinja, growing more impatient, says, "Stop talking nonsense and tell me the truth. Who are you, and what is this symbol?" Lee Gon then asks, "If I tell you, will you believe that this symbol is from another world where I am the king?" He continues, "Now tell me about yourself. Who are you, and how do you know about this symbol?" Shinj becomes very nervous and asks, "Is that crying little child you, King Lee Gon?" Joy frowns and asks, "How did you get that name?" Lee Gon, looking shocked, asks, "Did Tae-eul tell you everything about me?" Shinj, in disbelief, asks, "Does Tae-eul know all this?" Lee Gon asks if Tae-eul didn't tell him. Shinj questions again, "Are you really King Lee Gon?" Lee Gon thinks to himself, "He has heard me crying, which means he is from my world too. Who knows how many others Rim has brought to this world?" Shinj grabs Lee Gon's collar and starts pressing him for answers. Lee Gon tells him, "It seems I am your king too." Shinj is stunned, but he still doesn't fully believe this and is very confused. He tells Lee Gon to stop with the nonsense and leave his world. He warns, "If I see you again, I'll put you in jail." With that, Shinj leaves, deeply confused. Jong wants to follow him, but Lee Gon, with tears in his eyes, says, "He's not needed. I know him. Rim has brought him here from our world. But he saw me crying, so when he was small, Rim brought him here. There must be some reason for this." Shinj goes to meet Tae-eul and says, "I met Yusuf some time back, but he wasn't our Yusuf." Tae-eul understands that he now knows about Jaeyoung. Shinj asks her, "You knew everything about him?" Tae-eul replies, "Yes." Shinj then asks, "Do you believe what he said?" Tae-eul says, "Yes," but before she can explain further, Shinj walks off, leaving in a state of confusion. This is when we learn the real story of Shinj. In the Kingdom of Korea, Shinj's family fell into massive debt because of his father. His father ran away, leaving Shinj's mother to face severe hardships. At her breaking point, she decided to end their lives together by throwing Shinj off a bridge. However, Lee Gon appeared and stopped her, offering to give her son a better life if she agreed to do some work for him. In exchange, Lee Gon took Shinj to the Republic of Korea, where Shinj's real self was replaced with the version from the Kingdom of Korea. The real Shinj from the Republic of Korea remains in a coma at the Youngster Medical Center, a facility run by Lee Gon's men. The next day, time stops again. Lee Gon counts how long the time stopped, noticing that each time it stops, the duration increases. The first time stopped for 10 seconds, the second time for 20 seconds, the third time for 40 seconds, and now the fourth time for more than a minute. Meanwhile, Rim has reached the Kingdom of Korea, where her driver informs her about the girl who committed the murder, as well as the missing restaurant owner. Rim orders him to find the owner, and also to find and destroy the 2G phone that the girl used during the murder. Meanwhile, Tae-eul connects the two murder cases, realizing that the girl who murdered her roommate also had a 2G phone, the same kind used by a victim named Lee Sang-do. Just then, a call comes in on the 2G phone belonging to the owner of the car. Lee Gon picks up the call, and for a moment, both sides remain silent. Then Lee Gon asks, "Do you remember my voice?" He adds, "But I remember you hiding somewhere safe because I know you are in the Republic of Korea right now." We don't hear the rest of their conversation, but Rim throws the phone, and Lee Gon promptly breaks it. The call on the phone confirmed to Lee Gon that Rim is also in the Republic of Korea. Back in the Kingdom of Korea, the Prime Minister meets her ex-husband, a once wealthy man who ended up in jail after a scam. He says, "I saw your photos with Raja Sahib. Do you want to become the queen here now?" The Prime Minister responds, "Right now. My dream is to become the queen. For that, I will do whatever I have to do." She then asks her ex-husband to investigate the traitor Lim. Tae-eul explains that her ex-husband has many influential connections, and that's why he was given so many resources, and now he agrees to help the Prime Minister. In the Republic of Korea, Tae-eul and Lee Gon are eating out one evening. Tae-eul updates Lee Gon on the last two murder cases. Upon seeing the photo of one of the victims, Lee Gon recognizes him as someone who worked in his stable in the Kingdom of Korea. Tae-eul tells him that an old 2G phone was found with this man, containing a recording from the Kingdom of Korea. Lee Gon realizes that the man in his stable was replaced by someone loyal to Rim. This revelation leads Lee Gon to suspect that many more of Rim's agents are present in the palace. He tells Tae-eul, "Now, no one is safe, even in the palace." Lee Gon decides that he must return to his world, but he plans to take all this information with him as Jaeong. He says, "I will go, and Jaeong will stay here because Rim is still in the Republic of Korea, and it's crucial that Jaeong stays." Tae-eul grows worried, understanding that the situation has become even more dangerous. Lee Gon reassures him, "Don't worry. I will make everything fine." Later, Naesop changes his hairstyle and dresses as Joy, accompanying Lee Gon to the Kingdom of Korea along with the restaurant owner. Lee Gon decides to imprison the restaurant owner for life in a dungeon for supporting the traitor Rim. Naesop, not being familiar with the area, stays close to Lee Gon and avoids speaking much, as he lacks the seriousness of someone like Joy. Lee Gon orders the vice captain of the royal guards to increase the security at the bamboo forest, install new CCTV cameras, and arrest any 70-year-old man found there. He then has his duplicate working at the royal hospital arrested and thrown into prison. Shinj takes a 21-day leave, so Tae-eul goes looking for him but finds no trace. Shinj, meanwhile, is at a bar, drinking and reflecting on everything about himself and Lee Gon. Back in the Kingdom of Korea, the Prime Minister meets with Lee Gon to present the year's reports, as the year is coming to a close. Lee Gon begins reviewing the reports when lunch is served. He has Yusuf sit and eat with him. The Prime Minister then asks, "Has your traveler guest left?" Lee Gon replies, "Yes, she's gone back to her country." The Prime Minister then asks, "King, will you not get married?" Lee Gon, taken aback, responds, "Why? Do you want to marry me?" The Prime Minister answers, "Yes." Lee Gon, surprised, says, "I didn't think you'd ask this question. Now that you have, I should tell you that I've already proposed to someone. If personal matters are settled, let's focus on work." They resume looking through the reports. Tae-eul visits Nari's shop and asks if she has seen Shinj today. Nari replies, "No, he hasn't come by since yesterday." Outside, Jo Young sits at a table. Nari observes him and says to Tae-eul, "What's going on with Yoon?" He seems a little strange. Tae says, "I don't feel anything different." Nari comments, "I don't know why, but he doesn't look as handsome as before. He's changed his hairstyle. He used to look more handsome." She then brings coffee for Joy, adding, "Since we won't meet here, Your behavior will ruin the dynamic between Yoon and me if you stay around for much longer. Jong hands her a Sony statue to sell, as he needs money to stay in the Republic of Korea. After getting the money, Jong applies for a driving license, something Naesop had failed at multiple times. Unlike Naesop, Jeong passes the test and gets the license. As he reflects on a promise made to Yusuf, he recalls that both of them had pledged to protect each other's loved ones. Yusuf would protect Lee Gon, and Joy would protect Yusuf in this world. Meanwhile, in the Kingdom of Korea, Yusuf is wandering around the palace and finds a face care device in Lee Gon's room. He tries it on, acting like Iron Man. Lee Gon walks in and tells him to take it off, warning that no one is allowed to touch the king's belongings. He then asks Yusuf, "How did you unlock Joy's phone?" Since both of them have the same face, the phone's face lock opens automatically. Lee Gon then asks, "Can you unlock Joy's laptop?" Yusuf tries and succeeds. Lee Gon begins checking the laptop, where he finds CCTV footage from the places Yusuf visited during the day. As Lee Gon watches the footage, Tae-eul starts missing him. She recalls that just before he left for the Kingdom of Korea, Lee Gon had visited her. Tae-eul tells him about the flower seeds she had brought from the Kingdom of Korea. Some were planted inside the portal to the parallel world, while others were planted at her home. However, the flowers hadn't grown yet. Tae-eul asks if they came through the portal, but Lee Gon responds, "I told you, there's no air, water, or sun inside the portal, so flowers can't grow there." Duvall asks, "Did you reach the very end of the portal?" Lee Gon replies, "I tried, but the space inside the portal never ends. The only exits are my world and your world, and one shouldn't stay inside the portal too long. A day inside the portal equals 2 months outside." Lee Gon adds, "If you stay there too long, you'll age differently. I'll become older than you." Lee Gon explains, "Even if I live eternally in my world, I will always come back to you. If I'm late, just know I'm on my way to meet you." Tae-eul says, "Don't just think about coming to me. We should go everywhere together. Don't go anywhere without me." Lee Gon then says, "I'll miss you so much. Can't you live with me in my world?" He adds, "Just don't ask me to come with you. If I do, what will happen to this world, to my dad, my friends, my duty? That's why you can't ask me to stay with you in your world forever." Tae-eul starts to speak, but is interrupted when Lee Gon kisses her. "Goodbye," he says, and leaves for his world. They both miss each other dearly. Lee Gon then watches the last video in which Tae-eul is seen with him. As the video plays, a mysterious boy stands outside a store. Lee Gon is focused on Tae-eul, but the mysterious boy suddenly looks at the camera as if he's staring at Lee Gon. This shocks Lee Gon, who then notices the date of the video, May 27th, 2022, though the year is 2019. Lee Gon wonders if there's a mistake with the date and rechecks the footage. He realizes that Tae-eul is wearing a different dress, one she didn't wear when she first arrived in the Kingdom of Korea. As Tae-eul gazes at the mysterious boy, lightning strikes, causing Lee Gon's shoulder to hurt again. Lee Gon was deeply surprised by the footage. In the Republic of Korea, his driver arrives at Leedom and informs him that one of their companions is missing, the same restaurant owner Lee Gon had captured and brought to the Kingdom of Korea. The driver reports that Tae-eul had gone to Yana's care center, where she asked about the reports of Lee Gon's lookalike. The manager there handled the situation, but Tae-eul was also looking for the phone of the girl who killed her friend. The driver also mentions seeing Shinj at the graveyard of Young-hae's son Jihan. Rim responds that Shinj, whom he brought to this world, was taken by Lee Gon to his world from Tae-eul. He's surprised by these developments, as they weren't part of his plan. The driver offers to kill both Shinj and Tae-eul, but Rim dismisses the idea, saying his nephew must have figured everything out by now, so it's time to meet him. Back in the Kingdom of Korea, Lee Gon instructs his team to investigate a bookstore shown in the footage. It's named Heesun Bookstore, but no such store is registered in the Kingdom of Korea, nor is there any mention of it online. Lee Gon is puzzled but orders them to continue searching. 3 days later, on New Year's night, snow begins to fall, marking the start of the year. Lee Gon recalls Tae-eul and wishes him a happy new year. However, just then, time stops, signaling the arrival of Lilim in the Kingdom of Korea. Lee Gon sets off to find him. Meanwhile, Rim roams freely among the public, and people start calling him Raja Sahib as Lee Gon approaches on his horse. Lee Gon scans the crowd, trying to locate Rim, when a flashback from the previous day plays. In the flashback, Lee Gon realizes that Rim has likely been watching him for a long time. He begins reviewing the footage of places he had visited over the years, but he can't find Rim. Instead, Lee Gon is searching for Laren, thinking he must be very old by now. But to his shock, he finds footage of Laren, who still looks the same as he did 25 years ago. Lee Gon deduces that Rim must have spent a significant amount of time inside the portal, which is why he hasn't aged physically. He understands Rim's motive for stealing the flute. Rim wanted eternal life. Inside the portal, time passes differently, and while his body remains unchanged, the time outside the portal still moves forward. Coming back to the present, Rim stands in front of Lee Gon, and they both lock eyes, marking the end of Part 10. Part 11 begins a few days before New Year's, where in the Republic of Korea, Tae-eul explains to Shinj the details of the 2 murder cases, both of which are linked to Lee Gon's world. Tae-eul reveals that Lee Gon is from another world, which Tae-eul had already visited. She asks for Shinj's help in investigating the murder cases more thoroughly, but Shinj still dismisses her claims of another world, calling it an illusion, and leaves. Back in the Kingdom of Korea, Lee Gon misses Tae-eul, as it's been a long time since he returned. So, he travels to the Republic of Korea to visit her before the new year. Tae-eul is deeply emotional upon seeing him after so long, but Lee Gon explains that he only came to see her once and must return now. They both bid each other farewell, asking each other to take care. After returning to the Kingdom of Korea, Lee Gon resumes his search for Rim. He reviews footage from the places he has visited in the last few years and finally spots Rim. Lee Gon realizes that Rim's strength hasn't increased, as the time spent in the portal has prevented him from growing stronger. Lee Gon quickly realizes that Rim is after the flute in order to gain immortality. It's New Year's Day, and Lee Gon must deliver a speech for the occasion. Meanwhile, in the Republic of Korea, Jaeong is headed to Yusuf's house to celebrate the new year. Tae-eul had warned him about Yusuf's younger sister, Yunbai, who is very intelligent and would easily recognize if something were off. Since Jaeong arrived at their home, Yunbai had been watching him closely. She notices his unusual behavior and tells her mother that this isn't her brother, pointing out how much he has changed. Yunbai then mentions it to her mother, urging her to call the police, but her mother silences her, insisting that Yusuf is going to become a police officer soon. The situation escalates when Yusuf's brother, Kabi, pulls out a gun from Jaeong's coat. Jaeong quickly grabs the gun and explains that he got it from the police academy, assuring them it's a fake. Yunbai insists that they call the police, but her mother stops her, saying that Yusuf will soon be joining the police force. Before leaving, Yunbai warns Jaeong, saying, "I will always keep an eye on you." The next evening, Shinj joins his duty and asks Tae-eul to brief him on the 2 murder cases. Back in the Kingdom of Korea, Lee Gon finishes his speech and then visits the police station with Yusuf, where he learns that Luna, who had been in jail, was released early because she has terminal cancer. Lee Gon asks the officers to find her. He also discovers that the same restaurant owner Lee Gon had encountered 25 years ago is dead, with his body found at that time. Lee Gon realizes that the traitorous friends of Lilim had killed their lookalikes in the world of OL, thrown their bodies into the Kingdom of Korea, and replaced them in the Republic of Korea. When Lee Gon arrives at the palace, time stops, and he knows that Rim has arrived. The scene shifts to where Part 10 ended, with Lee Gon and Rim face to face. A flashback reveals the first time Lee Gon and Rim spoke on the phone. Rim says he has waited impatiently for this day. Lee Gon replies, "Wherever you are, I will find you." Rim comments that he's excited to see how Lee Gon will respond to the people who announced his death 25 years ago. Back in the present, Lee Gon and Rim confront each other. In a short while, royal guards, led by Jong, arrive, pointing their guns at Rim. Lee Gon orders them to arrest Rim, calling him a traitor's accomplice, but Rim's army arrives and takes hostages. Chaos ensues, and people scatter in all directions. One of Rim's companions aims a gun at Lee Gon and shoots, but Yusuf rushes in to protect him, getting shot in the process. Lee Gon orders his guards not to fire to avoid a larger confrontation. Rim's men injure the hostages before retreating. Lee Gon orders the injured to be taken to the hospital and asks for any photos or videos from the incident to be removed from social media. The news reaches the Prime Minister, who learns that Lee Gon was attacked and Captain Joy was shot. Rim's name begins trending on social media, with people gossiping about the incident, though no one has proof in the form of photos or videos. The Prime Minister recalls his mother's warning about Lilim and is startled by the news. Rim's name continues to trend, leading to widespread speculation about his connection to Lilim. Yusuf recovers from his injuries and is out of danger, but Lee Gon expresses concern for his safety, telling him he could have lost his life. Yusuf explains that he had promised Jong to protect Lee Gon at all costs, which is why he stepped in to help. Lee Gon thanks Yusuf, but stresses that he needs rest. However, Yusuf refuses to stop and prepares to continue his search for the next threat. In the Republic of Korea, Young recalls seeing Shinj Ki and realizes that a woman who looks like Shinj works in the royal palace. Knowing that Shinj is from the Kingdom of Korea, Young deduces that Shinj must be the son of this woman, whom Lilim likely brought into this world during her childhood. Shinj agrees to work with Young, and the three of them, Young, Shinj, and Tae-eul, begin their investigation together. Back in the Kingdom of Korea, Lee Gon returns to his palace, and Daima is relieved to see him safe, but feels distressed about Jeong. Lee Gon reassures Daima that Jeong is fine now, but Daima questions whether Liren is truly alive. Lee Gon confirms that Liren is indeed alive and has not aged at all. He looks the same as he did 25 years ago. This revelation leaves Daima confused, and Lee Gon explains that he cannot fully explain it, but a war with Liren is now inevitable. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister calls Lee Gon to ask about Rim, but Lee Gon firmly states that Lee Rim died 25 years ago. The people they were pursuing were followers of Lee Rim, and the situation is under control. To prevent any public unrest, Lee Gon's secretary organizes a press conference where she announces that Rim is alive and that the people they captured are simply followers of Rim who will be dealt with soon. In the Republic of Korea, Tae-eul and Shinj go to meet the girl who murdered their roommate. They show her the phone found at the scene of the first murder and demand to know who gave it to her. The girl, frightened, denies knowing anything. Just then, Liren's driver arrives, but when he sees Tae-eul and Shinj leaving, he quickly drives away. Shinj recognizes the car, remembering that it has been following him for several days. He tries to investigate, but the car's registration is under a fake ID, making it impossible to trace. Meanwhile, in the Kingdom of Korea, politicians are debating the rumors about Rim, but Prince Boyo intervenes, sending them away and ordering them to stop gossiping. Lee Gon arrives to speak with Prince Boyo and tells him that he must now kill Rim because the situation has escalated to involve his family and his subjects. Lee Gon emphasizes the importance of Prince Boyo staying safe, as he will inherit the throne if anything happens to Lee Gon. Though Prince Boyo is worried about Lee Gon assures him that he can handle himself. Lee Gon also asks about Prince Boyo's daughter, Sejin, whom he believes should sit on the throne after him, as she is noble and cares for the well-being of everyone. In contrast, Prince Boyo's son is greedy and dreams of taking the throne for himself. In the Republic of Korea, Shinj is asked by Tae-eul about his experience in Lee Gon's world. Shinj explains everything to Tae-eul, revealing that he searched for her there but couldn't find her, neither at the police station nor her home address. Tae-eul is shocked when Shinj reveals that he was actually in Lee Gon's world, and he takes her to Jihan's graveyard. Tae-eul asks how he knew about it, and Shinj explains that he saw Jihan's report. Shinj also reveals that he knows Lee Gon is the lookalike of the king, and that he has known King Lee Gon since childhood, because, in truth, he is King Lee Gon. He further explains that he is from the Republic of Korea and did not meet Tae-eul in Lee Gon's world because of this. Meanwhile, Lee Rim attacks Prince Boyo's palace, killing him to weaken him before his eventual confrontation with Lee Gon. In the Republic of Korea, Tae-eul meets Jeong, who gives her Lee Gon's phone, which contains several messages from Lee Gon for her. Tae-eul is overjoyed to read them, but then Jeong asks if, after Rim is captured, she plans to go to the Kingdom of Korea with Lee Gon forever. Tae-eul is torn by the question of whether she can stay in the Republic of Korea and become Raja Sahib's queen, living in his world forever. She is unable to give him a clear answer. Meanwhile, in the Kingdom of Korea, Lee Gon receives the news of Prince Boyo's death and is deeply saddened. This news is also a severe blow to Daima, as she was Prince Boyo's wife. His death shakes her to the core. Lee Gon, devastated by Prince Boyo's death, becomes even angrier toward Liren, who he now believes is responsible for the tragedy. In the Republic of Korea, Tae-eul is still pondering Jaeng's words when she spots Lee Gon outside her window. Overcome with emotion, she goes to meet him. Lee Gon, still grieving, asks her how she is. He explains that he arrived many days after Prince Boyo's death, bringing flowers with him, realizing he had never given her flowers before. Seeing his emotional state, Tae-eul understands that something serious has happened. Lee Gon hands her the flowers, but tells her that he must leave because he has an important task to attend to. Tae-eul is upset by his departure. Lee Gon kisses her, whispering that he loves her, but by the time she opens her eyes, he is gone, leaving her heartbroken. Part 11 ends with a shocking turn of events. We are introduced to Luna, who is fleeing from the police when a truck blows up a police car and hits her. When Luna regains consciousness, she finds herself blindfolded, and Liren's men have taken her captive. Liren arrives and tells Luna that she was saved from the police and offers her a job in exchange for money. He gives her Tae-eul's ID card, explaining that in another world, Tae-eul has everything: a family, friends, a respectable job. Luna is initially skeptical, but when she recalls the Prime Minister's question about a twin sister, she begins to believe Liren's offer and agrees to do his bidding. The story then shifts to the Kingdom of Korea, where Prince Boyo's funeral is taking place. Lee Gon and his family mourn his death deeply, as Prince Boyo and Daima were like family to him after the loss of his own parents. Meanwhile, at the Prime Minister's residence, a parcel arrives containing photos of Liren and Lee Gon from the night they confronted each other on New Year's Eve. The photos were sent by the Prime Minister's ex-husband's secretary, and they confirm the Prime Minister's suspicions that Liren is alive. The Prime Minister is elated to know that the traitor Rim is still alive. Back in the Republic of Korea, the girl who killed her roommate is murdered by Liren's driver, and her death is staged as a suicide. Meanwhile, in the Kingdom of Korea, Lee Gon is still grieving Prince Boyo's death. A few days later, Lee Gon travels to the Republic of Korea to give flowers to Tae-eul and then returns. Tae-eul, missing him, throws herself into the investigation and explains to Shinj that Liren is behind everything, replacing people from one world with those from another. She also suggests that Liren may have brought Shinj to the Republic of Korea as a child. Seon-young, Prince Boyo's son, wants to take his father's place in the royal court, but Lee Gon tells him that he will never be allowed to come to the Kingdom of Korea. He assures Seon-young that after him, Seon-jin, Seon-young's sister, will sit on the throne. Seon-young, enraged, is ordered by Lee Gon's royal guards to return abroad on the last day of the memorial service. Lee Gon then receives Prince Boyo's autopsy report, which reveals that Prince Boyo was strangled, and the royal guards who were supposed to protect him killed him with a sword. Lee Gon deduces that Rim is responsible for the murder and vows to kill him. As time stops once again, Lee Gon becomes increasingly perplexed by this strange phenomenon. When the time resumes, his secretary informs him that the media is once again connecting Prince Boyo's death to Rim. Lee Gon realizes that the Prime Minister is behind this, so he calls her, only to learn that she is ill and resting. This leaves Lee Gon with the responsibility of handling the media fallout. He orders his secretary, Mrs. M.O., to deal with the matter and instructs the vice captain of the Royal Guard to bring the daily logs of the past 6 months concerning Prince Boyo. Meanwhile, in the Republic of Korea, Liren's driver is once again following Shinj. This time, Shinj catches him and they engage in a fight. The driver claims that he was not ordered to kill Shinj and hand him a phone, telling him that someone will call him. As Shinj approaches the police station, a car arrives to hit him, but he dodges the attack. The driver then gets into the car and leaves. Shinj, injured from the fight, is taken to the hospital by Tae-eul. He explains that the driver gave him a phone which he believes is the same one found with the victim of his first murder case. In the Kingdom of Korea, Lee Gon examines the daily logs of Prince Boyo, discovering that Prince Boyo had visited a slum and a bookstore there, places Lee Gon has never heard of. He instructs his guard to investigate the bookstore and then goes to interrogate Liren's accomplices who are locked in the dungeon. One of them knows the location of Rim's hideout but refuses to reveal it, even under threat of death, because of his loyalty to Rim. Lee Gon orders the man's execution. The man insists that beheading is no longer practiced in the Kingdom of Korea, but Lee Gon counters that the king's decision on treason is final. The execution is announced, marking the first beheading in 62 years in the Kingdom of Korea. Meanwhile, in the Republic of Korea, Tae-eul is lost in thoughts of Lee Gon when she sees a girl who looks like Prime Minister Koo approaching. Tae-eul approaches the girl, and after some interaction, the girl shows her ID card and reveals her name is Koo Yuna. Tae-eul checks her ID and confirms her identity, but follows Yuna to verify if she is truly the Prime Minister. Before Tae-eul can investigate further, she receives a call from her father. After that, we see Luna in the Republic of Korea, where she had gathered significant information about Tae-eul after following her for an extended period. Luna finally imitates Tae-eul's appearance, dressing and styling herself exactly like her. The next day, while Tae-eul is practicing alone at her taekwondo club, she faints after drinking a bottle of water. Meanwhile, at Nari's shop, a woman enters who looks identical to the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Korea. It's unclear whether she is the Prime Minister or a lookalike. Shortly after, Jeong arrives at the shop, and the two exchange surprised glances. In the Kingdom of Korea, Lee Gon contemplates the time stops, realizing that their duration has been increasing in a distinct pattern. By calculating the intervals, Lee Gon determines that if this progression continues, the 60-second activation of the portal to the other world will cause time to stop for an entire day, and eventually, time in this world could halt forever. At that moment, the vice captain informs Lee Gon about the details of the bookstore and provides a photo of its owner. Lee Gon recognizes the man as a traitor who had pointed a gun at him during a previous encounter with Liren's conspirators. Lee Gon remembers that the masked man shot this traitor in the shoulder, yet he appears unharmed in the photo. Lee Gon and his royal guards raid the bookstore, where the owner dies in a firefight. However, upon examining the body, Lee Gon finds no old bullet wounds on the man's shoulder. Realizing the man was a doppelganger placed by Liren, Lee Gon concludes that this is yet another part of Liren's intricate schemes. Tae-eul regains consciousness in a large warehouse, tied up, with her mouth taped shut. She sees her husband lying nearby and a group of armed men with car keys standing in the vicinity. Through the gate, she notices a mysterious child, the same boy she had encountered in her world and who had caused her to lose her old ID card. When the goons step out, the child enters, unties Tae-eul, and frees her. Tae-eul, puzzled, asks who he is and why he's there. The boy cryptically responds that he is everywhere, protecting people and balancing the world. Tae-eul overhears the goons saying they are in the Kingdom of Korea, leading her to question if the boy exists in this world as well. He enigmatically answers that he is singular and went to her world to restore balance. As Tae-eul presses him for answers, the goons return. Tae-eul takes a knife from the child, kills the goons, and grabs a gun. Shielding the child, she eliminates the rest of the attackers. When she turns to check on the child, he has vanished. Taking the car keys from one of the dead men, Tae-eul escapes in a car parked outside. The sound of gunfire alerts the other goons, who begin to chase her. Driving at full speed, she follows a signboard pointing toward the royal palace, but she remains confused about how she ended up in the Kingdom of Korea. Tae-eul successfully evades her pursuers until the car runs out of fuel a few kilometers away from the palace. Exhausted, she starts running on foot. Spotting a public phone booth, she remembers the number of the royal court and heads toward it. Tae-eul calls the royal court and informs them, saying, "Lee Gon, it's me, Tae-eul. I don't know how I ended up in the Kingdom of Korea. I've been kidnapped, and they're after me." However, before she can say more, a truck crashes into the phone booth, causing it to explode. Tae-eul is thrown to the ground. Injured, she sees the driver approaching to check on her, but she stabs him with a knife, killing him. Severely hurt and unable to move quickly, she spots a group of men approaching. Liren's men. Tae-eul, with only 3 bullets left in her gun, prepares to defend herself. As the men close in, a royal commando helicopter appears overhead, and on the opposite side, the Kingdom of Korea's special forces arrive. From another angle, Lee Gon enters the scene with his royal guards, flanking Liren's men. Lee Gon commands his forces, saying, "Protect her at all costs. She is your future queen." Drawing his four-tiger sword, Lee Gon charges forward, eliminating Liren's men one by one. Tae-eul, overwhelmed with emotion, watches as Lee Gon fights his way to her. After dispatching the last of Liren's men, Lee Gon runs to Tae-eul and embraces her tightly. Part 12 ends with this heartfelt reunion. Episode 13 begins slightly before the events of Part 12's ending. In the hospital in the Republic of Korea, Naesop is recovering, but a man working for Liren, posing as a patient, plans to assassinate her. However, Sunny mistakes the assassin for Nari and hugs her, expressing how much he missed her. Realizing it's not Nari but her lookalike, Sunny quickly shifts back to his stern Jaeong demeanor, advises the lookalike to take care, and leaves. Later, Sunny brushes off the encounter as he goes about his routine. Back at Nari's shop, the woman who appeared earlier is revealed to be the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Korea, whom Jaeong recognizes. However, he pretends not to and acts oblivious. After she leaves, Jaeong follows her in his car and calls Shin-jae for backup. Overtaking the Prime Minister's car, Jaeong confronts her, accusing her of reckless driving. The Prime Minister, playing innocent, denies his accusations and insists he's mistaken. During this argument, a car passes by and a man inside shoots Jaeong. The Prime Minister takes advantage of the chaos and flees. Shin-jae arrives shortly after and takes Jaeong to the hospital. Fortunately, Jaeong had been wearing a bulletproof vest, so the bullet didn't penetrate, though the impact still left him injured. Meanwhile, in the Kingdom of Korea, Demi discovers the identity of the traitor in her palace. Leaving cards behind for all the palace maids to find, she identifies Mrs. Kim, Shin-jae's biological mother, as Rim's spy. Mrs. Kim, cornered, consumes poison before she can be captured. Back to Tae-eul, the royal court informs Lee Gon of her call. Lee Gon mobilizes his forces after spotting footage of Tae-eul en route to Busan. Arriving just in time, he kills Liren's men and runs to Tae-eul, embracing her as she collapses from exhaustion. Lee Gon orders his soldiers to clean up the area and ensure the incident remains secret. He carries Tae-eul back to the palace. Upon arriving, Yama is shaken by the sight of blood on Lee Gon's face. Lee Gon reassures Yama and sends him to rest. After ensuring Tae-eul is attended to by a doctor, Lee Gon stays by her side all night. When Tae-eul finally regains consciousness hours later, Lee Gon is relieved. Tae-eul tells him, "I thought the door to my world had closed. That's why you weren't coming." Lee Gon responds, "Many things happened here, which kept me away. But if one door closes, I'll search every door in the universe to find you." After the intense reunion, Tae-eul insists Lee Gon rest, but he dismisses her concern, saying, "This is my room, but now it's yours too." He kisses her forehead and encourages her to sleep. However, the next morning, photos of Lee Gon and Tae-eul from the rescue go viral. Rumors spread that the mysterious woman might be their future queen. Meanwhile, in the Republic of Korea, Luna has assumed Tae-eul's identity. With Tae-eul's phone and ID, she learns more about Tae-eul's friends and family and even takes leave from Tae-eul's job. Shin-jae notices this sudden leave from the police station and grows suspicious, wondering why Tae-eul would act so unexpectedly. Back in the Kingdom of Korea, Lee Gon begins to personally care for Tae-eul, preparing meals for her himself. Their moments together are filled with joy. Lee Gon presents Tae-eul with several dresses, and when she selects one, he remarks, "I knew you'd choose that one. I know all your preferences." Tae-eul also notices a special outfit Lee Gon wore when he brought her flowers. Lee Gon explains, "I wore it on the most special occasion, when I confessed my feelings for you. That moment was unforgettable for me." In its pocket, Tae-eul finds a necklace, but chooses not to wear it yet. She tells Lee Gon, "I'll wear it during a special moment, when my scars have healed." The two then visit Naesop at the hospital. Naesop, informed that Lee Gon is visiting, checks the room meticulously, mimicking Jaeang's usual precautions for Lee Gon. When Naesop sees Lee Gon and Tae-eul, he grows emotional, hugging Lee Gon and warmly greeting Tae-eul. They converse about mutual acquaintances, and Tae-eul updates Naesop about Yunbai and Nari. Tae-eul teases Naesop about Nari's affection, saying, "Even after seeing Jo-young, she missed you. She said Jo-young couldn't possibly be you. Anso's too handsome for that." Naesop beams with happiness at the mention of Nari. Afterwards, Lee Gon takes Tae-eul to the warehouse where she was held captive. They search the area, and Lee Gon asks if Tae-eul noticed an umbrella with Liren. Lee Gon suspects Liren's share of the flute might have been hidden in it. Tae-eul realizes Liren might have planned to use her to extract Lee Gon's share of the flute. Both understand the danger of uniting the flute halves. It could close the door to their respective worlds. Lee Gon reassures her, "I won't let that happen. Liren's actions are against fate, and justice will prevail." Later, Tae-eul takes her medication, and Lee Gon checks on her, jokingly claiming he'll stay because there's no extra bed. When she protests, he teases, "This room's big enough for both of us." Tae-eul playfully hits him, and as lightning strikes outside, Lee Gon winces in pain. Tae-eul inspects his shoulder and is shocked to see scars resembling lightning burns. These scars are revealed to mark everyone who's traveled through the portal between worlds. Tae-eul nervously checks herself for similar scars but finds none. The two share a tender moment, and Lee Gon kisses her. Meanwhile, in the Republic of Korea, Liren is revealed to be holding Jihan's mother captive. She pretends to serve him but attempts to strike him with a flower pot and retrieve Liren's umbrella. Liren catches her and threatens her, but stops short, commenting, "You resemble Lee Gon's mother. That's why I've spared you. Your face is a reminder of her." In the Kingdom of Korea, news of Lee Gon's rumored queen enrages the Prime Minister. Furious, she storms into the palace, demanding an explanation. Lee Gon confirms, "Yes, the rumors are true. I love the woman in those pictures, and she will be my queen." The Prime Minister's rage turns to pain as her neck begins to burn. Lee Gon notices a scar and realizes she too has traveled to the other world. At the same time, Kdrama speaks to Tae-eul, revealing she once came from the Republic of Korea. She recounts how the Korean War in 1950 separated her from her family. King Hajong, Lee Gon's grandfather, took her to the Kingdom of Korea, sparing her from the horrors of war. She reveals her knowledge of the flute's powers and the truth about Lee Gon and Tae-eul's interworld travels. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister schemes to blackmail Lee Gon, leveraging her newfound knowledge of the other world. She discovers Luna's resemblance to Tae-eul and plots her next move. A flashback reveals that the newspapers alerting the Prime Minister to these events were secretly sent to her by Lady No. One day, the Prime Minister received a newspaper from Lady No, along with the address of a bookstore. Intrigued, she visited the bookstore and found a photo of her doppelganger in the Republic of Korea in the newspaper. Shocked, she confronted Rim, who had orchestrated this, asking, "Who is this?" Rim replied, "It's you, but from another world. Do as I say, or I won't hesitate to replace you with her. But I think you're smart enough to avoid that." Unintimidated, the Prime Minister challenged him, saying, "Prove it. Take me to this other world." This marked the period when the Prime Minister feigned illness. During this time, she traveled to the Republic of Korea, where she tracked down her lookalike and killed her, ensuring Rim couldn't use her against her. Returning to the present, the Prime Minister confronts Lee Gon, saying, "I know that girl is a thief. Do you really want to make a thief your queen? What will the people think of their king if this becomes public?" Lee Gon recognizes her attempt to blackmail him and firmly warns her not to overstep her boundaries. Suddenly, it begins to rain, and the scar on the Prime Minister's neck burns intensely. Lee Gon realizes she has traveled to the other world. The Prime Minister quickly excuses herself, citing health issues. Suspicious, Lee Gon instructs his royal guards to investigate the bodies of Rim's soldiers for similar scars. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister steps outside and encounters Tae-eul. Tae-eul, recognizing her as the person she had seen in the Republic of Korea, notices the scar on her neck. Alarmed, she rushes to Lee Gon and informs him. Lee Gon concludes that the Prime Minister had dealings with Rim and traveled to the other world on his orders. Tae-eul asks, "If these scars appear on your and the Prime Minister's bodies, why don't I have them? I've also traveled between worlds." Lee Gon replies, I'm trying to figure that out. Lee Gon visits the hospital to investigate Rim's soldiers' bodies. The doctor reveals that all of them bore scars, especially after rain. Lee Gon recalls that Rim's body was also brought to the hospital, and he had ordered an examination of his soldiers. He learns that the scars appear only on those whose doppelgangers are dead in the other world. The deceased lookalikes explain the scars on Thandariki travelers' bodies. At the same hospital, Yeso is recovering. A man planted by Rim, posing as a patient, attempts to assassinate him. However, Yeso, having discovered audio transmitters under his table earlier, anticipated the attack. Pretending to be defenseless, he captures the assailant. Lee Gon arrives with his guards and has Rim's man arrested. During the confrontation, lightning strikes again, causing Lee Gon severe pain. Yeso, however, remains unaffected as his doppelganger, Jeon, is still alive. The next day, Secretary Mo informs Lee Gon, "There's significant public uproar about your queen. Would you like to make an official announcement about Miss Tae-eul and yourself?" Lee Gon replies, "Not yet. I haven't received a response from her." Later, Kdrama tells Lee Gon about Shinjae's mother, who had attempted suicide by consuming poison. Due to timely intervention, she survived. Lee Gon visits her and she confesses, "Rim ordered me to poison your food, threatening my son's life. I couldn't bring myself to harm you, so I consumed the poison myself. My son is innocent in all this. Please save him from Rim's clutches." When Lee Gon learns that Shinj is his son, he is stunned. Meanwhile, Luna begins a new chapter of her life in the Republic of Korea. Taking an unexpected leave, she experiences her father's scolding for the first time. Strangely, she enjoys this, finding warmth in his reprimands. Her father even cooks for her and shares funny stories, making Luna both surprised and happy at this newfound affection. Elsewhere, Jaehoon's mother visits the luxurious house where Shinj once lived, where she herself worked 25 years ago. She spots Shinj's mother and approaches her for a conversation. Jaehoon's mother learns that Shinj's family fell on hard times after his father's death, becoming bankers and living on rent. Shinj's mother, now a reformed person who has given up gambling, works for nearby families. Jaehoon's mother takes her out to dinner to catch up. Unbeknownst to them, Joy had been observing Shinj's mother, suspecting she might be involved with Lilim since Shinj had been replaced. Joy is shocked to see Jaehoon's mother, who resembles Lilim's mother, and follows her to the restaurant. There, Shinj's mother talks about her son's current life as a police officer. However, when she inquires about Hun, Jaehoon's mother abruptly leaves. She heads to an elevator, where one of Lilim's men joins her. Joy also enters the elevator, determined to uncover the truth about Jaehoon's mother. Back in the Kingdom of Korea, Lee Gon discusses the increasing disruptions caused by the parallel world. He explains to Tae-eul that time now halts for an hour each time the door to the other world opens, and warns that the duration will grow longer with each occurrence. Tae-eul asks if there is any solution. Lee Gon theorizes that the divided magical flute is the root of these problems, and that reuniting its two parts could resolve them. Tae-eul points out that they would need to either take Lilim's part or risk losing their own. Lee Gon proposes a third option, traveling 25 years into the past to stop Lilim from taking half of the flute. When Tae-eul asks how that's possible, Lee Gon speculates that if crossing to a parallel world is achievable, time travel might be as well, provided the flute is made whole. Determined, Lee Gon escorts Tae-eul and Yoon-saf to the Republic of Korea. Upon arriving home, Tae-eul embraces her father, telling him she missed him. Her father, puzzled, reminds her she left that morning. Startled, Tae-eul checks her room, realizing her phone is missing. Using her father's phone, she begins tracking it. Meanwhile, Shinj is on his way to Tae-eul's house when he encounters Luna, mistaking her for Tae-eul. Frustrated, he asks why she ignored his calls and messages. Before he can discern her identity, Luna silences him with a kiss. When Luna's phone rings, she excuses herself and leaves, leaving Shinj completely shocked. Later, Shinj encounters the real Tae-eul nearby. She tells him her phone's location is showing close by. Surprised, Shinj asks if she has seen her doppelganger. Tae-eul deduces that Luna must have taken her phone and possibly her ID card, using it to apply for leave. Shinj advises her to cancel her leave at the police station immediately before leaving. Tae-eul calls her phone, and this time, Luna answers. Tae-eul proposes they meet, hinting that Luna may have sought her out intentionally. Luna ominously replies, "The day you meet me will be your last." Meanwhile, Lee Gon learns that Jeong, his doppelganger, is still alive, further complicating matters. Then he tells her that he met Prime Minister Koo there, which means she is also in cahoots with Lilim. Lee Gon reassures her, saying, "Don't worry, I've taken care of her. She can't do anything now." Meanwhile, in the Kingdom of Korea, before traveling to the Republic of Korea, Lee Gon exposes Prime Minister Koo's corruption, leading to her removal from office. In another scene, Nari is with Yunbai and Kabi. Nari expresses her suspicion, saying, "Don't you feel your brother is different now? Even I feel he's not the same as before." Yoon agrees, saying, "Yes, I've felt it for a while." Just then, the real Yoon arrives. Yunbai instantly recognizes her real brother, and Yoon, overjoyed to see Nari, hugs her, saying, "I missed you so much." Nari is confused by a sudden change in demeanor. Later, Nari cancels her leave and returns home, where her dad has invited Lee Gon for dinner after noticing him wandering outside. During dinner, Yoon introduces Lee Gon as her boyfriend, and her dad accepts their relationship without issue. When her dad sees Lee Gon, he warmly hugs him. As they ask about Lee Gon, tells them, "Just look at his face. Decency is written all over it." After dinner, Tae-eul brings Lee Gon outside and gives him some clothes she bought for him. Among them is a black jacket that feels oddly familiar to Lee Gon, though he doesn't dwell on it. Soon after, Tae-eul receives a missing person report about Prime Minister Koo Yuna's lookalike. She and Shinj begin investigating. Shinj discovers that the owner of Youngsan Care Center, currently in jail, sold the center 25 years ago to Lilim. Tae-eul realizes that Youngsan Medical Center holds all of Lilim's secrets. Together, they search the center. At the Gangsu Care Center, Shinj finds the real Shinj of this world, still in a coma, and is shocked. Tae-eul, meanwhile, discovers Prime Minister Koo Yuna's lookalike, dead. From the evidence, Tae-eul deduces that the Prime Minister had used the car found that rainy night, leading to the death. In his hotel room, Lee Gon finds Jeong contemplating whether to reveal the truth about Jihan's mom, who resembles Lee Gon's mother. Before Jeong can speak, he leaves to get drinks. Lee Gon tries on the clothes Tae-eul gave him. Soon after, the doorbell rings. It's Luna, disguised as Tae-eul, and she brings drinks. They sit and start talking while drinking, but Lee Gon quickly discerns from her mannerisms and stolen ID card that she's not Tae-eul but Luna. As they talk, Lee Gon catches his reflection in the mirror and recalls the masked man who saved him 25 years ago. He realizes the masked man was his future self. Simultaneously, Lilim, in the Kingdom of Korea, remembers the same masked man after looking at a poster of Lee Gon. Both Lee Gon and Lilim come to the same conclusion. The masked man's physique and knowledge of the flute's hiding place, known only to the king's family, could only belong to Lee Gon. Suddenly, Lee Gon feels intense pain. Luna had poisoned his drink, causing him to collapse. Luna searches his jacket for the flute, but doesn't find it. As she hears the door unlocking, she hides. Jo Young enters, sees Lee Gon on the ground, and rushes to him. Taking advantage of the distraction, Luna escapes. Lee Gon asks Jeong to retrieve the magical flute from his court. Instead, Jeong calls Tae-eul to inform her of Lee Gon's condition. Since the Yongsun Care Center is outside Seoul, Tae-eul instructs Jeong to take Lee Gon to a nearby medical center where her friend is a doctor. Without proper identification, the hospital refuses to admit him, so Jeong heads to the medical center. Tae-eul's doctor friend begins Lee Gon's treatment, and after a few hours, Lee Gon stabilizes and is out of danger. Tae-eul arrives at the center shortly after, but Jeong prevents her from entering Lee Gon's room. He is unsure whether the person outside is the real Tae-eul or her lookalike, Luna, who had poisoned Lee Gon. Jeong explains his suspicions, saying, "The one who poisoned the king looked like you. I cannot risk his safety." While Jeong goes inside, Tae-eul waits outside, worried and heartbroken. She calls Nasop, instructing him to stay with her father, Yen and Ka. She adds, "If I come home, call me on this number, implying Luna's involvement. Naesop realizes Tae-eul is referring to her lookalike. Meanwhile, in the Kingdom of Korea, Laren visits the bamboo forest, contemplating how Lee Gon could have traveled to the past. Back in the Republic of Korea, Lee Gon regains consciousness in the morning and immediately asks Jaeong about Tae-eul. Jaeong informs him that she came the previous night, but isn't there now. Lee Gon reflects on the events of 25 years ago, realizing the masked man who saved him was his future self. Upon checking the date, he recalls that Rim committed treason on this very day in 1994. Lee Gon tells Jaeong, "I must leave today. Apologize to Tae-eul on my behalf for leaving without notice, and protect her until I return." Lee Gon arrives at the bamboo forest in the Republic of Korea, where both he and Rim simultaneously open the portal to the parallel world. Inside the portal, they initially cannot see each other, but sense the attraction of their respective parts of the flute. As the flutes begin to unite, their combined power creates a new door. A mysterious child narrates, "When both parts of the flute merge within this vessel, it will take you to the time and place where you can save yourself." The door opens, and both Lee Gon and Rim enter, running towards their destinies. The child continues explaining to Jihan's mother, revealing, "The flute has transported the king and the traitor to the night of the treason in 1994. When Jihan's mother asks why, the child responds, "Because the king wants to save both worlds from the traitor." In 1994, Rim is about to kill the young king when the present-day Rim intervenes. The 1994 Rim is stunned to see his future self. The present Rim introduces himself, saying, "I am your future self from 2020. I've come to stop you from repeating the same mistake. Kill the king and Prince Lee Gon, or he will stop you later." However, the younger Rim, arrogant and unyielding, bristles at being advised. Noticing the flute disguised as an umbrella in the present Rim's hand, he realizes its power and truth. He smirks, saying, "If you've come from 2020, then everything I've heard about the flute is true." The present Rim warns him, "Yes, and that's why you must first kill the prince, then retrieve the flute." But the 1994 Rim scoffs, "Do you think an 8-year-old child will stop me?" He laughs dismissively. The present Rim, frustrated, grabs him by the collar and growls, "I've made this mistake before. That's why I only have half the flute now." Unimpressed, the younger Rim taunts him, "You came here to teach me, yet you couldn't even secure the flute for yourself." Then, pointing towards his umbrella, he says, "If you are me, then you must keep your sword here." With that, he pulls out a sword from the umbrella and slashes present Rim's throat. As Rim falls, the 1994 Rim retrieves a part of the flute with the sword, but the moment he holds it, the flute disappears because the owner of the flute, present Rim, is now dead. This enrages 1994 Rim even more, and in his fury, he orders his soldiers to attack the king. Meanwhile, the mysterious child continues to speak to Jihan's mother, telling her that the traitor could not save himself. Jihan's mother asks, "You speak as though you've witnessed this firsthand. Who are you, and where do you live?" The child replies, "I am everywhere. I warn people before danger strikes, and I punish those who deserve it." His mother responds, intrigued, "Your story is fascinating. Will the king be able to return safely to his time?" The child assures her, he will follow his destiny. She asks, "What if the flute breaks again?" The child explains, "If the flute breaks into 2 parts, its power will also split in 2. Until the flute is reunited, no one can wield its full power." As the conversation unfolds, we see the attack on the king, where Rim orders the death of the prince after killing the king. Just then, Lee Gon arrives on the scene and starts firing at the soldiers, but Chota, Lee Gon cuts the flute into 2 parts, replicating the earlier event. Laren, frustrated, flees with only half of the flute. Lee Gon goes to check on Chota Lee Gon after defeating the soldiers, and Chota Lee Gon extends his hand with the other part of the flute. Lee Gon's ID card falls from his pocket as he kneels to close his father's eyes. Lee Gon then begins to follow Rim. Meanwhile, Daima sees Lee Gon trailing behind them, following the bloodstains on the ground. He encounters Prince Boy's son, Sang-jun, who is closing the exit door at the back of the palace. The bloodstains lead up to the door, and thinking Lee Gon is one of Lilim's men, Sang-jun tells him to leave quickly before the royal guards arrive. Realizing that Sang-jun is also part of the treason, Lee Gon shoots him in the leg and heads towards the bamboo forest to track down Rim. However, when he arrives, he finds no trace of Lilim. Lee Gon attempts to return to the past by opening the portal, but he repeatedly ends up in 1994 Republic of Korea, realizing that Rim had already arrived before him. Returning to the Kingdom of Korea, Lee Gon sees on TV that young Lee Gon is performing a memorial service for his father. He learns that the traitor, Laren, had killed his lookalike in Republic of Korea and dumped the body in the Kingdom of Korea. Lee Gon returns to Republic of Korea, where he realizes he cannot return to his own time until both parts of the flute are reunited inside the portal. He understands the time difference inside and outside the portal and knows that he'll have to spend 4 months inside the hotel before he can return to 2020. Lee Gon remembers Dale's words about Lee Gon's lookalike, Jihan, and the tragic death of Jihan at the age of 8. Lee Gon calls the police from a nearby telephone booth, reporting that Jihan's family is in danger. However, by the time he calls, it's too late. Jihan's family had been killed the day before, leaving only his mother, Hee-young, alive. Lee Gon realizes he has no choice but to spend the next 4 months inside the hotel. He then recalls Tae-eul, who is only 5 years old in 1994. Lee Gon heads to her home address, where he finds that Tae-eul's mother has passed away. Tae-eul is drawing her mother's tycoon black belt when it falls from the air. Lee Gon picks it up and hands it to her. Tae-eul asks, "Who are you, and how do you know my name?" Lee Gon replies, "I come from the future, but I'm stuck in 1994. I'll have to wait 26 years to reach you in the present."
I am almost there.
Little Tae-eul says, "I feel like I know you. You're a kidnapper, right? One who kidnaps small children." Hearing this, Lee Gon smiles and replies, "You were always like this since childhood, which is why you went to the police." Just then, Tae-eul's caretaker appears and asks, "Who are you?" Lee Gon introduces himself, saying, "I'm Mr. Young's friend." Afterward, he bids farewell to Tae-eul and leaves. Meanwhile, in the present time, Jeong tells Tae-eul that Raja Sahib has gone to the past to stop Rim. This news deeply worries Tae-eul, and she misses him terribly. Suddenly, some new memories begin to surface in Tae-eul's mind. She is 5 years old, and she is shocked as she recalls the time she met Lee Gon. His words, "Wait, I'm coming soon," also resurface in her memories, making Tae-eul become emotional. She realizes that Lee Gon might be stuck in the past, and this thought saddens her greatly. With this, Part 15 ends, and Part 16 begins right where the previous episode left off. Lee Gon finds himself trapped in 1994 because he was unable to prevent Rim from taking half of the flute. As a result, Rim went to the 1994 Republic of Korea and reenacted the events from the first episode. First, he killed himself, and then Lee Gon's lookalike. Now that the flute is not united, Lee Gon can only travel between the two worlds in 1994, unable to reach the present time, 2020. To correct this, Lee Gon must spend 4 months inside the portal. So, Lee Gon goes to meet Tae-eul's younger self at different points in time. The first encounter is in 1994 when Tae-eul is 5 years old. Lee Gon tells her, "I'm stuck in 1994, but don't worry, I will come to you very soon." By meeting her here, Lee Gon subtly alters Tae-eul's past, and the memory of meeting Lee Gon at the age of 5 is added to her present-day memories. Tae-eul now understands that Lee Gon came to visit her in 1994. As time passes, Tae-eul misses Lee Gon deeply and goes to the bamboo forest every day, waiting for his return. Then, more memories come flooding back to her. Lee Gon reaches 2016, the day Tae-eul and Shinj are selected for the police academy. Everyone celebrates, but when they receive calls from an unknown number, no one picks up. Finally, Shinj answers the call, and it's Lee Gon calling them from a phone booth outside a restaurant. He asks Shinj to pass the phone to Tae-eul. Shinj and Tae-eul see Lee Gon standing outside, having called them after a long time. Tae-eul recognizes him and asks, "You're the same Mr. Kidnapper, right? But how are you wearing the same outfit after 22 years? By the way, who are you? And how did you get our number?" Lee Gon responds, "You gave me this jacket. It's wonderful seeing you all together." I know you won't recognize me, which is why I've come to be a part of your memories. When we meet again, you'll remember me as if it's the first time. We'll meet next time in Seoul City, and I'll make sure you wear a jacket with many buttons, and my horse Maximus will be there. But this time, treat me a little less rudely. Tae-eul replies, why will we meet again? Lee Gon smiles and says, because this is our fate. Wait for me, I'm coming soon. With that, he leaves. In the present time, Tae-eul becomes very emotional upon realizing that Lee Gon came to meet her in 2016 as well. After this, Lee Gon spends more time inside the portal, and by 2019, new memories are added to Jong's recollections. Lee Gon arrives on the day of the boat race in the Kingdom of Korea, where he meets Jaeong. From there, he takes an access card to the racetracks and leaves a rabbit hoodie on a bench, placing the access card inside its pocket. He then tells Jong, in a few days, I will tell you about a parallel world called the Republic of Korea, where Lieutenant Young-tae lives and your lookalike also lives. That's why I'm not talking to myself. Don't ask too many questions and trust Tae-eul. Jong asks, did you meet her? Lee Gon replies, I'm going to meet her soon. With that, he leaves. What happens next mirrors the events from the first episode. Luna arrives, wearing the rabbit hoodie. As she runs, she finds the access card inside the pocket and heads toward the racetrack to hide from some goons. Meanwhile, in the present time in the Republic of Korea, Jaeong sees Luna and calls Tae-eul, updating him about her. Luna, after shopping with Tae-eul's father, is returning home when Tae-eul notices her from a distance. He grows angry because Luna is taking his place. Luna spots him and tells Tae-eul's father and grandmother to head home before going into a dark alley, where Tae-eul follows her. In the alley, Luna confronts Tae-eul, saying, I told you that if you ever come in front of me, I will kill you. Saying this, she stabs one in the stomach and leaves. A new memory is added to Tae-eul's mind. In it, Lee Gon had reached Seoul City in Korea. Just like when Lee Gon and Tae-eul met for the first time, Lee Gon arrives on the road with Maximus. But this time, Tae-eul recognizes him and says, you really came. Maybe it's our fate. Saying this, Tae-eul hugs Lee Gon. In the present time, Tae-eul, who is lying injured, is seen by a couple. They admit her to the hospital. Here, Shinji receives a call from Lilim on a 2G phone. She asks him to meet her. She tells him her real name is Kong Han-man and that he brought her here from the Kingdom of Korea. The time has come to complete the task for which he brought her here, to kill Lee Gon, or else she will kill the mothers of both their worlds. In the next scene, we see Rim, who has gone to Nari's shop. Nari had learned fortune-telling by reading palms, and Rim is getting her palm read. Then Yeso arrives, recognizing Lee Rim. He pulls Nari behind him. Rim tells him she doesn't know where her nephew is hiding and adds that she'll visit him on his mother's death anniversary. With this, Rim leaves. Later, Yans arrives to tell Tae-eul about this, but he mistakes Luna for Tae-eul. Meanwhile, Shinji arrives and recognizes Luna. Tae-eul also arrives, having left the hospital without telling Luna. Upon seeing Luna, Tae-eul pulls her and slaps her. People lock Luna in the basement. Tae-eul, in a lot of pain, must go to the hospital again. We then see Lee Gon, who has finally reached the present time. He finds out about Tae-eul and reaches the hospital. Both get very emotional when they see each other after so long. Lee Gon asks Tae-eul to rest, but Tae-eul holds his hand, saying, I know that after I sleep, you will leave again. Lee Gon reassures her, saying, I will not go. That's why you should sleep. You need rest. Tae-eul doesn't believe him, so Lee Gon lies down beside her. Tae-eul asks what happened after their first meeting in 2019. Gon tells her that this time, she trusted his words and didn't treat him rudely, which allowed them to spend more time together. She quickly understood about the parallel world and his world. He promises to take her to his world soon. However, both had to face the same tragic incidents as before. As they talk, Tae-eul falls asleep, and Lee Gon steps out to call Jaeong and Shinji, asking for Shinji's help in defeating Lilim. Shinji doesn't answer Lee Gon's request and remains silent. Jaeong and Lee Gon leave the house where Jihan's mother lives. Jaeong tells him everything, including that a man from Rim always stays with them. Jaeong mentions receiving a call from Yusuf, who told him that Rim would visit on Jihan's mother's death anniversary. Lee Gon realizes that Rim will do something in the Kingdom of Korea, using Jihan's mother's face. Soon, Jihan's mother arrives, recognizes Lee Gon, and speaks to him. She says, "If Jihan were alive, he would have looked like you, but my son, Jihan, was killed unjustly." Lee Gon apologizes, but Jihan's mother says it doesn't matter now. She adds that she looks like his mother, but isn't her. She tells him that Lily will take her to his world, where Rim will do something on his mother's death anniversary. She tells Lee Gon that if he wants to stop Rim, he must come 2 days before the anniversary. After this, Lee Gon spends a lot of time with Tae-eul. They both enjoy their time together, but eventually, the day comes when Lee Gon must leave to stop Rim. Jaeyoung also meets Yoon Sup-yeon and Kabi to say goodbye. Tae-eul realizes Lee Gon is leaving and initially tries to stop him, but Lee Gon tells her, "Because of me, a lot of things have gone wrong in both worlds. Many lives have been lost. I need to fix it by stopping Rim." Tae-eul makes Lee Gon promise, "Even if the door of my world is closed, you will come back to me after opening all the doors of the universe." Lee Gon promises, "I will definitely come back." Tae-eul hugs him while crying, and this makes Lee Gon very sad. Lee Gon then returns to the Kingdom of Korea, where the portal opens, causing time to stop. Rim realizes Lee Gon has come to the Kingdom of Korea. When Lee Gon arrives, he meets Daima and learns about Prince Boyo's son, Sang January. Since Lee Gon had shot Sang Jan in the leg, his future changed, and he now walks with a limp. Lee Gon sends Sang Jan out of the Kingdom of Korea, meaning he can never return without being killed. Lee Gon brought Shinja with him to meet his real mother. Shinja is angry and sad to see his real mother after so many years. She apologizes for abandoning him, but Shinja leaves angrily. Meanwhile, Rim arrives in the Kingdom of Korea with Jihan's mother because it's 2 days before Lee Gon's mother's death anniversary. But Jihan's mother dies by poisoning herself. Rim always kept a doctor with him, and the doctor was about to administer an injection to counteract the poison's effects. But before he could do so, time stops, because Lee Gon had opened the door of the parallel world, causing time to freeze. As a result, the doctor cannot save Jihan's mother, and she dies. Rim, furious, takes a gun and heads to the palace to kill Lee Gon. Lee Gon sees Rim in the CCTV and confronts him. Rim points the gun at Lee Gon, but the bullet doesn't fire because time is still stopped. Lee Gon had prepared for this moment, knowing when time would resume. As soon as time starts again, Rim fires the gun, but Joing shoots Rim in the leg. With Rim injured, Lee Gon takes Rim's part of the flute and heads to the bamboo forest. At the bamboo forest, Lee Gon tries to open the door using Rim's part of the flute, but he can't. However, once Lee Gon gives the flute to Rim, the door to the parallel world opens because Rim's blood had been absorbed into the flute. With both parts of the flute in hand, Lee Gon steps into the portal, but he is unable to travel to the past. Lee Gon realizes that it is essential for Lilim to stay inside the portal along with the flute. Only then can he travel back to the night of treason in 1994. So, Jaeyoung and Shinj both decide that they will accompany Lee Gon inside the portal. While it's not shown who will go with Lilim, it is decided that these individuals will enter the portal after 2 days. Meanwhile, Lee Gon attends his mother's death anniversary and announces that Prince Boyo's granddaughter, Sejin, will succeed him as the ruler of the Kingdom of Korea. At the same time, Tae-eul visits Lilim in the jail and questions her. Lilim warns her that not only will her nephew die, but this time, everyone will perish if they try to stop her. Tae-eul then understands that Lee Gon is about to travel back in time again, and this time, she cannot let Lilim take control of the flute. In the Kingdom of Korea, Sejin dies in an accident orchestrated by Larimer. He had known that Lee Gon would make Sejin his successor, so Larimer had already set the plan in motion. With Sejin gone, there is no successor left for the Kingdom of Korea. Now, Lee Gon must return to the past at any cost to stop Larimer from obtaining the flute, or countless people will die unnecessarily because of Lilim's schemes. Tae-eul approaches Chige to inquire about the flute and learns that Shinj holds the other half of it. Shinj plans to enter the portal with Lilim that very day. Tae-eul asks Shinj to give her the flute, so she can enter the portal with Lilim. Shinj refuses, warning her that there is a great danger and she may never return. Tae-eul insists that she cannot stay behind without Lee Gon. If Lee Gon travels back to the past and stops Rim from coming to the Republic of Korea, Lee Gon will never return. By changing the past, everyone in the Republic of Korea, including Tae-eul, will forget Lee Gon. Tae-eul begs Shinj to let her go, pleading for one last chance to meet Lee Gon. Shinj, moved by her persistence, reluctantly hands over half of the flute. Lee Gon is aware that traveling to the past may cost him his life. If they are stopped from reaching the Republic of Korea, their future will be forever altered. Lee Gon and Tae-eul may never meet again. Saddened by this thought, Lee Gon accepts that perhaps God has chosen him to stop Lilim's evil plans. Lee Gon dons a special suit and heads to the bamboo forest. Tae-eul, wearing the necklace Lee Gon gave her for special occasions, prepares to enter the portal with Rim, keeping him at gunpoint. At this moment, Jaeong steps forward and declares that he will not let Lee Gon go alone. It is his duty to protect him. Lee Gon and Jaeong enter the portal together, while Tae-eul leads Rim into the portal from her side at gunpoint. The two halves of the flute are connected, sending Lee Gon and Jaeong back to 1994, where they enter the portal through the back gate. Once inside, they make Lilim disappear, so she cannot escape. They head to the flute room, where, just like before, Rim had killed the king and ordered the assassination of young Lee Gon. Young and Lee Gon arrive, and this time, they swiftly defeat Rim's goons together. Young Lee Gon picks up the sword, but before he can strike Rim, the sound of gunfire causes him to drop it. This allows Lilim to take control of the complete flute, causing the pieces of the flute that Lilim and the 2020 version of Lilim held to disappear. Rim, looking at the flute, says to Tae-eul, "Half of the flute is gone, which means I now have the whole flute. My nephew will never be able to return from the past, so how can he stop me now?" Tae-eul points the gun at him and shoots, but the bullet does not fire because time has stopped inside the portal as well. Rim tells Tae-eul that it will be useless to try, as she will be stuck in the portal with no reason. Meanwhile, Lee Gon follows Rim, and Jaeong saves young Lee Gon. During the chaos, Laren's men shoot Jaeong, injuring him badly, but he shields young Lee Gon. In the Republic of Korea, Shinj, the counterpart of Kingdom of Korea's Kong Han-man, unites her mother from this world with the real Shinj, who is in a coma. Seeing her daughter in this condition, her mother becomes saddened, but when she realizes the true situation, she grows angry with Shinj. However, she soon understands that the fault does not lie with the Kingdom of Korea's Shinj, as she was unaware of everything. She tells him, "You will always be my son." Meanwhile, Rim, who escaped with the flute, reaches the bamboo forest. This time, the door to the multiverse opens because the flute is now whole. With the flute's power restored, not just one world, but millions of universes are accessible. Larimer begins to enter the portal, but Lee Gon arrives and attacks Rim. As soon as Lee Gon holds the flute, the wind starts blowing, and plants begin to grow from the peaches that Tae-eul had planted. When Larimer sees this, he is shot and killed. In 1994, Lee Gon kills Lilim, and because Rim dies in the past, the present-day Rim's body disappears inside the portal. At this moment, we are shown the mysterious child, who is actually the human form of the flute itself. This child has existed in different forms across the worlds of Lee Gon and Tae-eul, and it's revealed that everything that has happened so far was orchestrated by the flute's human form to ensure that its powers did not fall into the wrong hands. When Shinj was bullied by schoolchildren, Tae-eul saved him. The leader of the bullying gang was the same child, who, in a different form, had been trying to unite Tae-eul and Shinj so they could work together to defeat Rim. This had all been set in motion from the beginning. In the first episode, when Lilim tried to take the flute chose its rightful owner. After Lilim killed the king, young Lee Gon arrived because he had been summoned by the flute's voice. He managed to break the flute into two parts, ensuring that Lilim would not gain the whole flute. The human form of the flute then brought Lee Gon from the future to save his past self, but Lirim broke the universe's rules by saving people in another world. To stop him, the human form of the flute connected Lee Gon, Tae-eul, and the others, allowing Lee Gon to stop Lilim. The child explains that even if the portal door is not closed, it will be very difficult for Lee Gon to find Tae's world. However, the memories of each other will remain, and because Rim did not go to the Republic of Korea in 1994, Jihin's family is still alive. In the Kingdom of Korea, Shinj's mother had been about to commit suicide with Shinj, but Prince Boy happened to pass by and stopped her. He helped her, and as a result, Shinj's family remains intact. In this world, Luna, whose parents died when she was young, had resorted to stealing to survive. One day, she went to the Prime Minister's house to steal food, where she was caught by Ku. Ku was angry at her, but her mother, a kind-hearted woman, learned about Luna's situation and, after understanding it, brought her home and later adopted her. Luna now had a family and a good life. In the Republic of Korea, Tae regains consciousness, surrounded by many people. After spending just a few hours inside the hotel, several days have passed outside. She learns from the people around her that she is now in the Republic of Korea. Taking a phone from one of them, she calls the police station and asks about Shinj. She finds that there is no officer named Shinj, as the Shinj from the Kingdom of Korea has not arrived. This also means that Lee Gon has not arrived. Tae cries at the realization. Many days pass. Tae becomes busy with her police duties, but misses Lee Gon greatly. One day, she sees Lee Gon's soul, and seeing him only increases her longing. She remembers Lee Gon's promise when he said, "If the door to your world closes, I will come back to you, even if I have to open all the doors of the universe." Meanwhile, Lee Gon has been searching for Tae, traveling through different universes with the flute. In each world, Tae appears in a different form. In some, she's a pilot, in others, an actress, a soldier, or a doctor. But none of these variants are the Tae Lee Gon knows. He refuses to believe it and continues searching. Finally, he reaches Tae's world, where she is moved to see him and hugs him while crying. After such a long time, Lee Gon also gets emotional seeing her. Tae asks him why it took so long for him to return. Lee Gon explains everything that happened that night. Tae is overjoyed that Lee Gon has returned, but it took 21 days to find her. 1 year later, in 2022, in the Kingdom of Korea, Lee Gon asks Jeong about his twin siblings. This time, Jeong did not let his parents separate. Both are together, and Jeong found his siblings, whom he named Yanb and Kabi in memory of Yusuf siblings. Luna and Shinj, Kong, Man became police officers in the Kingdom of Korea. Another set of twins was born, and Luna became a minister, although she was serving a prison sentence for a fraud case. She visits the minister, and they argue, as they grew up like sisters. In the end, Lee Gon and Tae finish their work and explore new worlds. They try not to bump into their lookalikes and enjoy their time together in peace. Now that Lee Gon possesses the complete flute, he can travel through different timelines. They sometimes go to the future and sometimes to the past. One day, they travel to 1994 in the Republic of Korea, where young Shinj is about to get a baseball and has an accident. Lee Gon passes the ball to him, preventing him from running into traffic and avoiding the accident. This change in Shinj's past leads to his future success. In the present, Shinj becomes a businessman and joins the National Intelligence Service, ANA. Though Lee Gon has no personal ties to them, he frequently meets them and is happy for their success. Meanwhile, Jeong and Sunny's secret love story continues, and Yusuf marries Nari. Tae and Lee Gon's love story also endures, and they remain together, with this drama concluding on a happy note.